Go Bigger TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Mean of Revolution, and then Putin's rogue war on the Annunaki in Syria is exposed, y'all. We got the information, but before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Well, happy New Year's Eve to everybody from King Y. Y'all mean, welcome to the House of Revolution. We chilling. We got some very powerful information for y'all. I want y'all to sit tight, relax, be safe, roll up that revolutionary dinner, pull you up something, but this high-powered information, you can't find it nowhere else. Nobody's put together the details. Salute, family. We doing it. We on fire today. We can't be stopped. But nobody has even put these details together, except for us right here. Be aware, but that's why it's so dangerous. What we rolling into 2025, it starts with all of this. Let's get right into it. Now, Israel use hold on, no, that's not the one I want to get. No, that's not the one I want to get, y'all. So I'm gonna have to go back and find that. No, that's not the one. The one I wanted y'all to see. Yeah, it just was a show. Okay. Israel using, salute family, a tactical nuclear bomb. Now this is Sky News. This is Sky News.
Israel has launched more overnight strikes on Syria, causing an explosion that was detected by earthquake sensors more than 800 kilometres away. The IDF has targeted military bases since the end of Bashar al-Assad's regime.
The IDF has targeted military bases. Do you understand you listen to a propaganda news station, right? This is called fake news. They got to tell y'all why you're seeing what people are, that's a nuclear mushroom cloud right there, it looks like. You're like, damn, Hiroshima, what the hell happened? What could Israel possibly been blowing up in Syria? Huh? What is Israel doing right there? Who is Israel doing that to? Because it ain't the rebels. Oh, they blew up an underground weapon storage. Liar, liar.
Regime in a bid to disable Syria's military capability. A human rights group in Syria says it is the heaviest strike against the country in more than a decade.
The heaviest strike in the country in more than a decade. But they are telling you they targeted no people. We was targeting an underground weapons layer deep down into the ground. Oh, really? What was really deep down into the ground that you had to use this type of bomb? Well, I'm going to get into that.
It was a strike on a munitions factory.
That's a lie. Okay. Now let's just see once again. Let's just look at that.
Overnight strikes on Syria causing an explosion that was detected by earthquake sensors more than 800 kilometres away. The IDF has...
If Russia would have did that, it would look very suspicious. If Russia would have did this, people say, wait a minute, why are you blowing up the underground so-called weapons depot? And you down with a sword. But if Israel do it, oh, okay, they targeting Syria's old weapons and arms supplies. Yeah, right. Now, let's get into a story to where you really got to let your mind, what they tell us in school, put on your thinking cap and really think about the area we're dealing with, the land of the fallen. When we're talking about that area, we're talking about the fallen. Biblically, that's where the fallen had landed. Rogue Annunaki is also there.
Was to search and destroy ISIS freedom fighters. Russian soldiers encounter Annunaki horde while fighting underground in Syria. After nearly 4 days of operating behind enemy lines, navigating through tunnels and caves in Syria, the Russian group of Spetsnaz soldiers were closing in on their target. Their mission was to search and destroy ISIS freedom fighters, who, according to Kremlin intel, were hauled up in a cave deep in the Syrian mountains. They had been navigating the vast network of tunnels for hours, when as they approached their objective, Captain Vasilyevich held up his fist to halt. He points to his ears and speaks into the mic.
Слушай,
A About 100 feet ahead, as they peered through the stalagmite-filled cavern, there appeared to be an opening. When listening carefully, you could hear the hum of a group of ISIS soldiers talking. According to their intel, the ISIS soldiers were set up in a small opening within the mountain system that had 2 to 3 tunnels leading to the high ground. Vasilyevich orders one of his group to go scout. He's gone about 5 minutes and comes back and relays that there's 50 to 60 soldiers with their guard down in this cavern. And you know the drill, my people. For entertainment purposes only, what I present to you may or may not be true. I just give the details and let you decide. Enjoy this one. It's the perfect opportunity. These freedom fighters aren't even expecting what's coming. Vasilyevich then orders them to move towards the cavern, and they do so quietly. When they get to the opening, they ambush the ISIS freedom fighters, taking all of them out. They continued sweeping the rest of the cavern to make sure they had neutralized all the threats. And they did. Vasilyevich was just about ready to radio mission success back to the headquarters when suddenly he hears something. It seems to be beeping and chirping sounds from the cavern adjacent to the one they were in. He gets in the ready formation and tells his men to move forward. He'd detail in his report later that it reminded him of some form of primitive Morse code. He and his crew of 15 moved forcefully to the next cavern over. This cavern was even bigger than the one they were just in. Their ceilings were 100 meters high, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The group of highly trained Spetsnaz warriors stood there stunned. It was a team of Annunaki warriors that stood anywhere from 5 to 15 meters tall, and they weren't happy about the Russian soldiers' presence. You could hear the sound of what seemed like a laser being fired from a plasma weapon echo from the cavern walls. Vasilyevich looks to his left, and one of his soldiers disintegrates before his eyes to a pile of nothing. Annunaki warriors gained the advantage in a matter of seconds. They were laying it on thick as the golden rays from their particle beams illuminated the cavern walls. Vasilyevich watched as 8 of his men were reduced to nothing. And as the Russians fired upon their enemy, the captain quickly realized that their bullets had no effect on the exoskeleton of the Annunaki. They simply bounced off. Atadzits, he yells, as he knew they didn't stand a chance. So he and the remaining men started to flee. The Annunaki warriors began their pursuit. They were out for blood. They continued to outflank them throughout the network of tunnels. It was as if they knew them like the back of their hand. Vasilyevich's men could feel them hot on their heels. They had laser beams flying past their heads. One, then another, then another. 3 more of his men go down. As they stumble through the underground caves, 2 more of his men go down. Now it's just Vasilyevich and 1 man remaining. When one of the Annunaki warriors gives out a loud cry, he's coming from an adjacent cave Vasilyevich just passed. He grabs the soldier behind him and slams him against the wall, crushing him. Fear swarms over Vasilyevich's body at the sight. There's only 50 feet left. He gets a burst of adrenaline and sprints towards daylight. He can hear one of the Annunaki giant's footsteps just feet behind him when he bursts through the opening. He stumbles and falls to his stomach, just waiting for the foot of one of the warriors to crush him. But much to his surprise, nothing happens. He gets up, turns around, and the group of Annunaki are just standing at the cave exit, watching him. He turns and continues running with everything he has. Surprised, they're not pursuing him. He runs until he can run no more. He finds a safe spot and radios headquarters. He explains to them that all of his men are dead. He can't tell how over the radio, but he calls for a chopper. After getting back to base, he explains to his superiors exactly what took place in those caverns. Their response was bleak, much to his surprise, as if they already knew about these Annunaki warriors. Just a day later, they flew him back to Kremlin headquarters in Russia. There, he would tell his story to high-ranking Russian officials. They didn't hesitate, and they put a gag order on him and locked him away. But that wasn't before a political figure within Kremlin got the information, and he leaked it. According to the producer of the story, this was leaked by a trusted source within the Kremlin organization. The Kremlin is a group of fortified Russian citadels, one of them being the presidential palace. This is where a lot of deliberation takes place over important political issues in Russia. Flashback to 2019, when Turkish forces attacked Syrian city Ras Al Ain. This was a result of President Trump withdrawing American troops from the Kurdish border. His exit was premature, giving the president of Turkey the green light to attack the city inhabited with 30,000 Arabs and Kurds. President Erdogan shelled and bombed the city of Ras Al Ain until it lay to rubble. They called it Operation Peace Spring, and the Turkish-backed Syrian army laid waste to the city. But this early attack drew some unwanted visitors, some Annunaki allies, a horde These creatures were scattered throughout the Syrian caves when the bombing started, and it gave them just what they needed to attack the city. They emerge out of nowhere and join the carnage and begin taking people through their portals. They even take the corpses. Nobody really knows why, but you can assume. They abduct men and women alike. There is no discrimination, and they'll take them back through their stargates. It was at this moment that Putin was blindsided. He was preparing for a battle with these creatures, but not that soon. He and the Minister of Defense, Sergei Shoigu, had planned the attack for November, not October. Putin had a team of Spetsnaz soldiers ready. They had advanced weaponry given to them by the Minister of Defense to get rid of the disadvantages they had once had before while fighting these Annunaki horde. It was now shortly after dark, and the creatures were continuing their mayhem when 250 Russian Spetsnaz soldiers descended upon the Syrian city. But this time, they were prepared. The Minister of Defense had given them AK Kalashnikov rounds coated with a special substance, a top secret substance. This rendered the Annunaki exoskeleton useless, and it penetrated the skin, killing them instantly. As they drove past a street with bodies piled up in it due to the Annunaki horde, the Russians encountered the 35 creatures standing at 9 feet tall. They engaged the enemy using stun grenades and the special rounds with their AKs, and the Annunaki horde were stunned. 35 of them are frozen solid, looking around as their counterparts dropped to the ground and disintegrated. Upon death, this breed of Anunnaki secretes a liquid that disintegrates their body, so you can't harvest it and study it for scientific purposes. The hailstorm of bullets took out the Anunnaki crossbreed. The Spetsnaz soldiers won the battle. According to the soldier that leaked this story, this is one of many battles that the armies have had with Anunnaki warriors. So I basically stumbled over a number of stories like this where they claim certain forces from Russian to United States or American military to European military encounter Anunnaki warriors. And it's been going on for some time. Of course, this is just alleged, so take it with a grain of salt. Could be true, may not be true. But at the end of the day, I think it's noteworthy, and that's why I'm sharing these stories with you. To me, it seems like Russia tends to battle with them more than any country. There was even a battle with them where they used some sort of turret on top of a Humvee that shot out a laser that they could neutralize them with. So if this is the case, then countries have been working with technology that can take out Anunnaki or extraterrestrials alike. And from what I'm reading, it seems like they started showing up in 2019, late 2018, 2019, 2020, right before COVID. So is that a foresight to anything? Maybe, maybe not. But it's good to make reference of it. Either way, even if these aren't real, they're awesome stories. They would make great Hollywood flicks. Like, somebody's got to put them on. End of the day, this is what I do. I hope you all enjoyed it. Stay in love, stay in the light, be kind to others. Oh, before I go, one more quick thing. Keep an eye out, y'all, because I'm about to up my apparel game on another level. With
You see, so when Israel just bombed that area with a tactical nuclear weapon last week, were they bombing the lair of the fallen? We have to look into that. Nobody else is looking into that except for us. We paying attention to these type of things.
Something crazy for y'all tonight. This is an interview I know about a long time ago, and I seen it on one of my on my timeline, one of my brother's channels, B-Dale. He did a breakdown on this, and it just stimulated something in my mind, and I just wanted you guys to see this. I want you guys to see this, man, so y'all know that it's like no games out here. You know what I'm saying? Look, this guy that did this interview, he died for this. And I'm gonna show y'all some real footage at the end, footage that I recorded. So I got that for y'all too tonight. So it should be a good night. But y'all gonna understand what's really going on. And this is the type of stuff we need to look at together to start those conversations about progression. Y'all ready to get into it? Let's put those nines in the chat. Let's put those nines in the chats if y'all ready. Let's go. Okay. All right, bet. Let's get this game. Hey, y'all gotta pay attention though. Pay attention, man. This dude died for this interview. He died putting this information out here for us. So let's respect it and let's get it. My screen.
And he talking about Putin's war
Right.
on the Annunaki, the rogue Annunaki.
Is, of course, Mike with Nibiru News and someonesbones.com. Today, I have something very special, something that has been asked for. I have an audio, and at least here a part of video interview with one of my key sources, one of my key Russian sources, former KGB agent Strelnikov Isaac Stepanovich. How are you doing today, Strelnikov?
All right. It's okay, but I would prefer to call me, it's all right. Strelnikov's fine.
Strelnikov is good. Okay. I mean, if you want me to call you Agent Stepanovich or former Agent Stepanovich or Mr. Stepanovich, I'm comfortable with whatever form of address you prefer.
Yes, I prefer Strelnikov, please.
Okay. Are you comfortable with doing the video, or would you rather not do the video interview?
I would rather not. I mean, no problem, but I prefer to talk.
Okay, no problem. I'd be happy to shut the video. Not a problem. Let me go ahead and kill that camera, and we can do without that.
Thank you.
Okay, let me get rid of you here. Let me just, I'll just shrink it down so tiny that nobody could possibly see it. And I have no need to have myself up there either in that case, since everybody already has a pretty good idea what I look like by now. Anyway, it is a pleasure to have you on today, Mr. Stepanovich. First, I'd like to thank you for agreeing to do an audio interview, part video, I guess. The listening audience knows that I've written countless articles based on information you've provided exclusively to me. I know you are a wealth of knowledge, but today I'd like to focus on a single topic: Vladimir Putin's war against an extraterrestrial race called the Annunaki. Before we get there, though, would you be willing to give us a little of your backstory, your education, work history, and your relationship to Vladimir Putin?
Yes, Mike, but please, I don't like all this Mr. This and Mr. That. Just call me Strelnikov. In Russia, we very much informal, we sit around, drink vodka, sing songs, and tell jokes. I listened to your other interviews with two scientists who are, how you say, anal retentive, right? Demanding you to address them as doctor.
Yeah.
Just technical, and I would like it to be like that in the future.
Okay, not a problem. Like I said, I will be happy to call you any name you find acceptable.
Right.
And no problem. We'd like to keep things informal here on Someone's Bones and the Nibiru News. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Let me think where to start. After high school, I conscripted to Russian military. My VUS, this is sort of Russian equivalent to United States Army, MOS. I was like an intelligence scout. I became very fascinated with gathering information and espionage. When
I see y'all talking about y'all already. Hey, yeah, we already seen you, bruh. Like, nigga, you was asking for it. You feel me?
leave army, I go to KGB, but they turned me down.
I see. Turned you down?
Yes, they did. They said I had good military service, but they were recruiting only two types of people: those with college degree and a few for suicide missions. Agent told me if they recruit me, then I would be sent to a mission and probably not come home. So I went to college.
Probably a wise choice given the opportunities you had at the time. What did you study in school?
I graduated from St. Petersburg State University with master's degree in political science, focusing on strategic arms and control studies. When I graduated, I got back to KGB and say, here's my military record, here's my diploma, give me a job. So they checked me out and they said, okay, maybe. I passed all assessment tests and training regiment, and was introduced into KGB. And then I worked as junior analyst in Moscow. I hoped for excitement, but the job was very, very boring desk job, tedious, you know. About 1 year later, I catch a lucky break. I personally exposed an MI6 and a Mossad agent who had infiltrated into the Ministry of Defense. So they sent me to London as an assistant to the military attaché. Very, very nice ladies in London. You know?
Sure.
And after that, the people up chain of command take notice of my achievement and promote it.
I'm glad to hear him talk about it.
It was a termination. It was not really a termination. No one ever really leaves the KGB. I was relieved of duty because I had learned so much that I was more, useful outside than inside of agents. The way I see it, President Putin wanted me to expose the truths to the world. As an active KGB agent, I could never do that. But officially, free of the agency's grasp, I could disclose sensitive information. It should be obvious that President Putin is protecting me.
It would certainly seem so. So just to clarify, President Putin, you believe, is using you as an instrument of disclosure. Why would he not just do it himself?
Mike, he cannot present certain issues because he has many enemies. Some topics are too controversial. The fifth column in government and outside world would say that he's like on a wild goose chase in the near abroad, or Syria, in Syria. They would say that we are in Syria not to eliminate the terrorist threat, but to pursue some imaginary enemies from space. No? Then the Washington Post would say that President Putin has caught some contagious mental illness or disease when President Trump sneezed. Then Moscow Times and the other Russian pro-NATO liberal papers would all scream out, it's a contagion. Putin has gone mad like Trump.
The fifth column, could you give us a little more information?
Look, some hopeful politicians and journalists and businessmen also are working for the West and would not miss the opportunity.
About to turn up.
President popularity is great, but his enemies are just waiting for their chance to get him. I'm not the only one. President Putin is using others like me. He wants to disclose information he cannot.
Information like what your government calls the Annunaki threat?
Among other things, yes.
Let's focus there for a second. To start, can you tell us when your government learned of this race and give us a little background on how Putin determined that they were, shall we say, not very friendly?
Sometimes in late 2012, and I cannot remember the exact date, we began receiving intelligence reports of extraterrestrials in conflict areas like Syria, Afghanistan, Georgia, Ukraine. Many reports surface of extraordinarily tall humanoids, 3 to 5 meters. I'm sure you've heard of the Kandahar giant. That's just one of many. What we learn is that this race of evil ETs will seek out hotspots, places of conflict where they can camouflage themselves within the carnage of war. So They appear at battle sites and take corpses of dead and sometimes abduct the living.
No, that's a fact.
These stories go unreported because it is easy to explain as battle-induced acute stress and hallucinations.
How convenient. If these events, however, have happened beyond Russia's sovereign borders in Syria and other nations, why does Putin care?
Because unlike Western leaders, President Putin recognizes this vermin are a great threat to humanity. If we do not fight them in Syria, we will have to fight them in Stalingrad.
Now, the reason that's very important because on other military channels where I just listen to war stories that I don't play on here, just listen to stuff that happened on battlefields, and soldiers would talk about shapeshifters and creatures and all these type of things. They would be said, called crazy and say that it was war fatigue, but these beings will always come for corpses and to ravage bodies and things of that nature.
Brad, I thought Stalin was not to be mentioned in the new Russia under President Putin.
I was in Paris and they have Stalingrad metro station. So you Westerners think that you can have Stalingrad and us Russians cannot?
Especially in Vietnam and North Korea. There's stories about these beings showing up.
Have Stalingrad, that's nonsense.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. And I would never presume to demand political correctness from Russians when I hate it here in America. Anyway, these Anunnaki, what is their disposition? How strong are they?
Unfortunately, it is hard to track exactly how many Anunnaki are currently in this area. In the kill one, many more seem to appear.
Okay, now that we're getting into your nation's efforts to eradicate the Anunnaki, can you tell us how exactly Putin plans?
Yeah, I hear that. They trying to eliminate the Anunnaki. They're trying to eliminate the Anunnaki. That's just wild, but you never hear nothing about
That's
none
a
of this
fact.
stuff.
It's just true.
To defeat a technologically and potentially numerically superior foe.
Some things I can say, some I cannot. Yeah. Early on, we discovered that Anunnaki were resilient to small arms fire, like Kalashnikov bullets. Yeah. Usually, did not work on them. President Putin,
bullets don't work on.
I would say secret. He gave a secret executive order to organize nationwide effort to defeat this monster. Military base in Ural. You know Ural Mountains?
Right.
It was repurposed as a top secret ET, like extraterrestrial research center, to train Russian special services and to develop technology capable of reducing these Anunnaki.
I see. I presume you're referring to the Moskoya facility, and I'd like to return to that in a minute. Can you tell me about Russia's earliest skirmishes with the Anunnaki and the outcome of those engagements?
At first, outcome was bad, very bad. We did not know
how you think it was gonna go when you trying to fight something that came from another universe. They can travel wherever. Like, how you think that shit was gonna go? I'll let you know.
It didn't come from another universe.
If I was in the line of duty and they told me they're gonna send me out here to fight some extraterrestrials that just came from the sky with superior technology, I'm going home.
See, the Anunnaki / the Fallen. See, that's the problem. People don't have biblical understanding and then have some understanding of the Anunnaki story. When you put them all together, then you understand what's going on. You understand these fallen beings who have been on this earth, deep in these caverns, deep in these caves, hollow earth, inner earth, shit that people do not understand is true civilizations.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Nigga, I'm going home. I'm not, look, man, or lock me up. I take all the time. Yeah, go ahead. Like that's just
we
crazy,
just live on the surface world.
No damn way.
Defense technologies, we received report, we sent Stuxnaz to chase them through vast networks of caves in Syria. We lost many combats there. Our bullets often bounce out of them, and they slaughter our soldiers like pigs in mud. They have plasma-based weapons and also use energy spheres to secure our fighting brothers. We lost maybe 200 men before finding a place in their armor where we can shoot them.
Yeah, a tragic loss of Russia's fighting men. How did your nation discover a weakness in the Anunnaki?
Yeah, that's during an engagement, one Anunnaki mistakenly wounded another. And our Russian survivors of this battle captured the wounded beast and took it to Meshgori. Our top scientists tried to interrogate it, but no luck. We could not understand their language. They speak in chirps and chirps. So if it could understand us, it never let us know. Since interrogation not possible, we do next best thing, science. So we exposed the Anunnaki to extreme heat, extreme cold, acid, even novichok poison. Nothing worked. Finally, after many months, we discovered two weaknesses. Acoustic weapons of certain frequencies cause Anunnaki much pain and make them fall to the ground.
That's because they're higher vibrational beings. I get that shit.
Well, back then, man,
They're shooting different vibrations at them to hurt them, like lowering your vibrations. That's why when you get around low vibrational people, it kind of fucks you up sometimes when they ain't vibrating good. Fucks you up, fucks them up on a whole nother level. That's the real definition of please don't kill my vibe.
Also, they can be killed by energy-based weapon like the laser, 10 kilowatt laser, powerful enough to vaporize a single Anunnaki. And this happened, that test subject died. Unfortunately, these weapons right now are large and must be vehicle-mounted. We are training troops with handheld versions, but right now these are only strong enough to stun the smaller Anunnaki, but certainly not all.
Fascinating. Do you know how many encounters have Russian special services had with the Anunnaki?
Yes. 7 that I'm aware of. This does not count the recent bombings of Anunnaki enclaves in Syria.
You say bombings. Bombs, in my mind, are considered conventional weapons.
Yes. Special ordnance developed by Ministry of Defense. I do know technical schematics, but in addition to...
Hey, are y'all picking up on the pattern too? This stuff is happening in areas that are in so-called like wars. Like, why are they at wars? What are they fighting over? If you ask either side, they don't have a real reason.
Now, pay attention to what he just said. See, you go back at certain times when all of a sudden people say, did they just use a nuclear weapon? Did they just use... That just happened in Syria. That's why I start off with Israel. Allegedly just used a tactical nuclear weapon, and they talking about they was hitting an underground storage bunker deep in Syria. Nonsense. These is what Israel was targeting. The fallen rogue Anunnaki. They was targeting them too.
At all. So it's something bigger outside of that could possibly be going on outside of what they... just some regular beef shit. Like, oh, I hate the way you look. Let's go to war. Start nuking each other and shit. Get it?
Explosion, like the weapons release energy pulse on detonation that damages Anunnaki brains.
Well, if that being said, and if that's true, then Putin should have no problem wiping all the existing Anunnaki off the face of the planet.
If only it was so easy. Anunnaki have a unique form of transportation. They use portals, which only they can see. They teleport instantaneously from one location to another. If they see the attack coming, they can strike back, and this has happened, or they can vanish through a portal and reappear somewhere else. Maybe thousands of miles away. We speculate that the portals of fixed location instead installed by the Anunnaki in previous years. And we have no idea how many of these portals are on the planet. could be millions for all we know, maybe even back to their homeworld.
And based on what you know, where is that?
Russian intelligence believes the Anunnaki are natives of the 5th and 7th planet of Nibiru system.
How did Putin or whomever with the Ministry of Defense come by that information?
Because they told us so.
Some clarification is needed here, Strelnikov. Earlier, a few minutes ago, you said communication with the Anunnaki.
He said because they told him. So y'all know it's getting to that meeting part. Y'all know it's getting to that meeting part, bro. Like, yeah, this shit.
Anunnaki was impossible. That being so, how was this information delivered?
Yes, in that statement, I'm referring only to the captured one, the captured Anunnaki, who would not or could not communicate. But like I said, we had many engagements with these evil creatures. Some times ago, after we killed nearly 200 of them in a fight, an Anunnaki emissary reached out to President Putin and offered him an ultimatum. This time he spoke perfect Russian.
Where did this contact happen?
It materialized near Ministry of Defense headquarters and demanded to speak with Putin. Very tall, 4 meters, translucent skin, phasing in and out of existence. Mike, I'm out of time for this today, for this talk.
No problem, Strelnikov. You do not know how grateful I am to you for sharing with us this incredibly important story. I hope that you will agree to chat with me again, as there's certainly a lot more information about the Anunnaki to cover, and yes. I would like to conclude with that topic before we dive into other topics.
All right, Mike, I will be in touch with you.
All right, well, thank you very much, Strelnikov. You have a good end. It goes nasty upstairs. A second interview, and today I am fortunate enough to have Strelnikov Isaac Stepanovich back.
All right, y'all. So now it's about to get into the actual like meeting. Y'all know when he was like, "Yo, we demanding that you speak with us." That's because these motherfuckers getting in the way. Like you gonna say, "Hey, basically, I'm about to run you motherfuckers over now. Trying to spare you now. Leave us the fuck alone."
With us, and I know we'll have a good conversation. Hello, Strelnikov. It's a pleasure to speak with you again.
My pleasure, Mike. I am happy to have the opportunity to share information with your listening audience.
Thank you very much. And they appreciate you too, Strelnikov. Before we get started, I just want to do a brief recap of our last conversation. If anyone out there did not listen to the first interview I did with Strelnikov, I'm going to put the link in the description box below. Strelnikov, when we last spoke, you provided some truly shocking information on the Anunnaki. You said Russia has known of them for many years, that Russian forces have had skirmishes with them, and after some time, Russia did develop weapons that could either kill or wound Anunnaki. At the closing of our last conversation, you said an Anunnaki emissary approached President Putin with an ultimatum. I'd like to start right at that point. Do you remember what was the ultimatum?
Yes, Mike. Like I said, this villainous race, his ability to instant.
Hey, he got his face all in the camera and shit now, y'all. Like, hey, my G done fucked up again, didn't he?
Simultaneously transport from one location to another via a nexus of portals that only they can see. Anunnaki appeared near the MOD and demanded to speak with President Putin. I am foggy on some details, but what I know is this. Arrangements were made between Putin and Anunnaki to meet at Putin's mansion on the Black Sea coast near the village of Paraskovivka. At this meeting, the Anunnaki delivered the ultimatum. Leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, or else perish with the rest of the world.
Wow. So what you're essentially saying is that the Anunnaki offered Putin peace in exchange for, shall we say, agreeing to participate in a non-intervention agreement?
Something like that, but it's much more shocking. The Annunaki told him that in exchange for not interfering with their plans, they would leave Russia alone and not even set foot on Russian soil without explicit permission. The Annunaki also said they would tell Putin how to survive Nibiru passing through the solar system. On the other hand, if Putin refused to offer the offer, the Anunnaki said Russia would be the first to fall and its people would be enslaved and taken as food.
Holy smokes.
Whoa. Whoa. That you've been enslaved and taken as food. I don't know about y'all, man, but look, I'm not down with eating white people, man. I'm cool on that shit. Like, I'm good. White people, you ain't got to worry about me. I do not want to eat you. Feel me? But nah, these people are something of themselves. We're just we're different than them though. It's crazy.
Assuming that to be true,
Rogue.
it's hard to imagine why Putin declined such an being facetious, a generous offer. Wow, why would Putin deny that?
Because Mike, Putin does not trust them. He may be an optimist, but he is not stupid. He figured that the Anunnaki would dishonor any agreement. These creatures are devilish and manipulative. So Putin told them to go away. We do not want you here. He told, leave the planet.
Everything that be like black, they be devilish or some shit. You know, that's because these are darker beings. Like, they like black as fuck. You feel me? Like, and and they super tall, but they're like humanoid black people type shit. But not like it, we don't look. I don't know, man. Fuck it. I'll show you some pictures.
And never come back. You know what the Anunnaki told them?
No, but I'm hoping you'll tell me.
The Anunnaki said to Putin, Earth is our planet, not yours. We are the ones who seeded the Earth with strands of life. He said that they grew all life on Earth, as in a giant petri dish. Humans, the Anunnaki said, belong to them, just as your mother's chicken belonged to her.
A farm.
So every 3,600 years, give or take, they return to harvest.
Harvest what?
Us.
We are little more than food and slave labor for them.
No.
Come on, man. This is
theological.
Hey, this is what they don't want to tell people. This is, this is serious business. Now, listen to this and you think about what's going on right now. All these orbs, all these craft in the air. What the government, what are they hiding? Now you got all this fog going on, man. It's more going on in this world than you could ever understand. And Earth being a form is like a scientific fact that they have been debating.
Shit, you feel me? Shit, not me. Not me. Look, nigga, look. If you want us to mine some gold and shit again, look, man, and you feed us and shit. All right, don't do weird shit to us and be trying to fuck us up and shit. Like, just take it easy, easy. I'm playing. Hey, look, man, I'm not going to no mines, harvesting no gold, being nobody fool. I fight first.
That is a frightening thought to comprehend.
That's what the missing people been.
How did the Anunnaki respond to Putin's answer?
The Anunnaki said, you've been warned.
That's a fact.
And left.
And yet, no massive Anunnaki force has invaded Russia.
At least not yet.
One thing I really don't understand. If the Anunnaki have the ability to instantly travel anywhere they want using these portals, I mean, why haven't they just sent a brigade of soldiers into Moscow? If the Anunnaki who wanted to speak to Putin showed up at the MOD, obviously they must have these portals in Russia already.
For every answer we know, there are two we do not. It is possible the case can accommodate only a certain number of Anunnaki before needing a recharge. We just don't have all the answers, but keep in mind that Anunnaki do not just attack military, they work behind the scenes. Evil machinations with human beings corrupted by Anunnaki's sinister agendas. If they can infiltrate government positions and influence law, they need not show up with guns blazing.
Oh, fascinating. Does Putin believe right now, does he think that the Anunnaki have infiltrated the Russian government?
No, but he believes other nations have been compromised.
What nations, for instance?
For instance, yours.
Putin believes the Anunnaki have infiltrated the White House?
Not sure about now, but under Obama administration, many Anunnaki roamed the White House corridors. I really don't have more information on that.
Well, interestingly
Looping
enough,
into
you're
that other
not the
conspiracy.
first person.
See, I think some of these beings taught the small hats Babylonian black magic too. It's a lot going on. But some of these beings made deals with some of these families to give them wealth for them to continue to sell out the humans so they can continue to harvest. So see, some of these beings is living deep in caverns, and they need our this organ harvesting ain't just for humans. Just think about that. It's just not for humans, you know. And think about who been doing a lot of organ harvesting, trafficking. It's been the small hats. What kind of deal are they making with these dark forces?
You make such a suggestion. I haven't heard about the Anunnaki infiltrating the White House, or others have talked about another race called the reptilians, but we're not going to go there right now.
Yep,
let's step in a different direction. According to you, Russian forces have clashed at least 6 times with the Anunnaki, resulting in many deaths on both sides. Where is the photographic or video evidence of the engagements? People like me and others who report on this topic, we take huge hits to our credibility because we don't have that hard evidence. I'm sure it must exist in an era where Big Brother watches everything, where soldiers have body cameras. So there should be footage or pictures of these Anunnaki or Anunnaki corpses. What do you say to that?
Yes, Mike, I realize this is a big problem. Any footage is classified at the moment at most secret level. Even I have not seen it. Does it exist? Probably yes. Keep in mind that lack of thereof also affects my credibility. Yeah,
you see that.
I spare what I can. As to corpses of Anunnaki, there are none. The Anunnaki biology is most strange. Their insides contain a corrosive bile that at the time of death literally dissolves both endo and exoskeleton. Only skulls have been known to survive this process, and photographs of Anunnaki had bones on the internet.
All right. And I have seen photos on the internet that, of elongated skulls that many say are Anunnaki. But digressing, I've known you for many years, and I absolutely believe that you're given the best possible information to which you've been exposed. However, as a journalist, I have to question everything. You've mentioned Anunnaki use plasma-based weapons and energy spears, and that their bodies liquefy at time of death. Now, these are conventions of 2 popular American science fiction franchises, specifically the Predator and Alien series, respectively. It seems a bit convenient that the Anunnaki lore mimics these fictional inventions. What do you think?
Michael, the margin or level of separation between fiction and reality is very narrow. I have never seen these movies. I've heard about him, but I've never seen them. I do not like movies, but
They don't like
technology
movies.
is used by the Anunnaki.
Fuck wrong with him? He don't like movies, but I bet. I guess because he's seen too much real shit.
They're real and are deadly. Ministry of Defense worked tirelessly to understand their technology and find a way to counter it.
Thank you. You previously said, to your knowledge, other nations do not take the Anunnaki threat as seriously as does Putin, or if at all. Now, it has been suggested to me that Trump and Putin are in a secret alliance to defeat them, and that all the current rabid anti-Russian sentiment going on right now is a dog and pony show to distract people from that, from Trump and Putin actually working together. What do you say about that?
Look, Michael, I wish this to be true. I wish your American president would take this threat and as seriously as does President Putin. I have seen no evidence showing cooperation between them.
All right.
If they're working together, Michael, then the rouse is so elaborate that even President Putin doesn't know he's working with Trump to fight Anunnakis.
Okay, so you're saying it's not true?
That's what I said.
Yeah. Do you think Putin stands a chance of winning this war on his own?
I think, I don't know. What I think doesn't matter, Mike.
Okay, then that's
You
a
don't want
no.
to say no?
I didn't say that. Please don't put words in my mouth.
All right, fair enough. I want to make sure we get you accurately. Let's veer in a different direction. When it comes to the
Hey, he ain't want that smoke. I don't know who he more scared of, the Anunnaki or Putin, bro. Like, he ain't want to say it. He ain't want to say it. That shit funny as hell.
Anunnaki, they've been described looking in various different forms and configurations: giant, 7 to 15 feet tall, tan skin, translucent skin. Some even say they shimmer in and out of existence, kind of almost incorporeal. Some say bipedal. I've heard reports of there being quadruped Anunnaki. Does your government have any idea why why these reports vary so widely?
Yes, Mike. The Anunnaki breed with other races, and not just humans. The offspring are hybrid monsters inheriting traits from the male Anunnaki and the female of whatever species it impregnates. This accounts for the discrepancies. So, look, make no mistake, the Anunnaki genes are the dominant ones, and even half-breeds are.
I wonder why their genes are the dominant genes. So basically, he's saying that they go around from different planet to planet, busting cheeks, getting motherfuckers pregnant, pulling off with the babies. Now they like hybrids. That's basically what happened to us, y'all. Came down here, they bust some cheeks, developed us, then they left.
Are deadly and dangerous and as much a threat to Earth as a full-blooded Anunnaki.
Wow. So the Anunnaki males are breeding with females of other species. I assume the females are not willing participants.
Why would you assume that though?
They are victims.
I mean, you can go from galaxy to galaxy dropping dick. Like, when was that ever? Like, see, they hating, bro. I guess that wasn't a willing thing, bro. Look, they out here dropping dick off in different universes. That's some crazy shit right there. You feel me? Like, stop playing.
The Anunnaki genetic experimentation process.
They was giving it up.
Have you learned from your government how many races the Anunnaki might have mingled with? I know it's a question out there.
This I do not know, but more than just humans.
All right.
Look, I have to go now, Mike. I have emergency. We'll talk again.
All right. Well, Strelnikov, I very much appreciate your time that you take to come on and provide this information to myself and to the audience out there. Do me a favor, please. Shoot me an email when you have time to talk again. I do want to continue close.
Yeah. So that right there, bro, he died after that. Like, died after that. Like, y'all know these whistleblowers, bro, they don't be having strange things be happening to them, man. Now, you can piece together a lot of stuff. You can believe what you want to believe. It's just an interesting story. I'm not telling you what to believe, but it's just another source of information that you can go with, knock yourself out with it. But I thought that was pretty crazy, though. You gotta think about it, though. You hear how you talking about them and shit. You know how them Russians and shit be feeling. How they feel about dark skin. Found out them niggas on them spaceships. There was niggas on them spaceships. Putin was like, they're fucking monsters. They are. Look at their black asses on the ship. Look at these niggas on the ship. That's what that was. They were so disgusted. Ugh. How dare these niggas fly around the universe and I can't? You feel me? Like that shit crazy. Right. My guy had to go. He knew they was on to him. The hell was he doing in that room too with all them wires? He was building a one of those. I ain't gonna say it on here because you know how YouTube is. They had to monetize the video for some real shit. Yeah, they was disgusted. I'm telling you, they was disgusted. He was absolutely disgusted when they knew it was niggas on the plane. I mean on the spaceship. But yeah. Look, it's a lot of different shit we can talk about stemming off of this. I'm not telling y'all what to believe, but like I said, it's an interesting story. But yeah, did y'all remember that TikTok about the God that said that he would be back and there will be more of us, and that it was a black man, and they kept killing him, and he kept coming back together, materializing. He kept materializing, and he said, "All right, he'll leave," and he said he'll be back with more. And this time it'll be nothing else you can do about it. That's just something fun to think about too, as well. You know, that right there sounds like the same shit to me.
Yeah, you talking about the guy from Africa.
You said he was mining Bitcoin. Yeah, hey, facts though. That could be it. He probably was making, like, with that rig right there. Yeah, he probably was making a whole bunch of bread then. I mean, y'all got money in Bitcoin. That joint is like at $18,000 for Bitcoin right now. Hold on, I'm gonna show y'all my videos though that I got. Very interesting. Pull these up. Hold up. I ain't even gotta look through them much. I'm just gonna absolutely just show y'all. Oh, right there. All right. Yeah. All right. Can y'all see? Y'all can see my cursor on there. Okay, cool. All right. So y'all see that right there? Look at that shit. These shits be out there all the time. They're not satellites, because now they be popping up in the daytime too, around the chemtrails. In my backyard. Yep. Look at it.
That's right, son. Choco, salute, family.
Look. Not blinking, none of that. Oh, I want to get the next one. Hold on. And there's so many of them out there. Hold on. Damn. So many of them out there. See, that's what a plane looks like at night. Yep. Right there. That's a plane, y'all. That's what a plane looks like. They have to have beeping lights on them. All right, I'm going to show y'all another one. Oh, yeah, it's moving.
Salute, family.
Good. Let it go. Playing out in the distance. I'm gonna let it go off frame, and I'm gonna go back into frame for y'all. There you go. I'm gonna move a little bit. Look, it's moving. Y'all see it yet? Right there. You see it? Look, it's approaching this other star right here. Right there. Look. See how fast it's moving? Look, over here.
The plane is over there.
Right there. That's what a plane look like.
Right.
Hard to like keep tracking them once you get your eye off of them. Like to look through the camera and get it on camera. I was looking at it with my eye. Look at it. Look, right here. Out. Look at that. That's sitting right there. Look, it's still moving. It's going past them. Look at that. That's still right there stationary.
This ain't no plane.
Look, it's approaching this.
It's gonna keep going towards.
Y'all seen the difference between the plane and these? Look, it'll start changing direction.
What is that, y'all?
They stop. They turn off the light.
No cap. I'm gonna turn around. I want to fall in my pool. Look at this.
Yeah. Oh, I probably almost fell in the pool, y'all. Look at that. Hey, real nigga almost fell in the pool. Hey. Look. See, look, that's basically where that last one is.
Once again, y'all, something like this right here.
That's a plane.
It's a plane. Clearly see it beeping, right?
Y'all can see the difference. I'm gonna keep showing y'all this.
They be closer in orbit and they move a lot. They appear to move here. But those other aircrafts are like a lot.
All right.
Right there. It's gently moving across the sky, y'all. It's right there. See it? Look at that. It's not beeping. None of that.
It clearly approaching this tree.
Stay focused on it.
That one was kind of far away, but you can just see it.
Look,
this is a plane right here. See the planes? The planes are taking off. These are planes.
It's gonna come out the other side. You see that things down below to the left over
Look at that.
there? Those are airplanes.
That's a plane.
Those are airplanes. You see how they beep?
That shit crazy, right?
Trees.
That's a plane.
See it to the left over there? Those things beep. This thing right here does not at all. They move all night. Okay, it's so many of them. I'm trying to put my phone down.
Right here.
Damn,
I can see it already.
Things aren't.
Good. Look at it. It's getting further away from this one.
It's crazy.
It's hard to get them sometimes. Yeah, it's hard to get them sometimes. Like, but it's a lot of shit going on in there. Yeah, the planes are, see, these things be way up there, y'all. I'm talking about they be out of orbit type. Like, look like they're actually there at the stars. And they're not satellites, bro. Not satellites at all. So, yeah. That shit's crazy. And it happens like every night. And this is one of the hottest areas in the area I live in, like with this type of activity. So I thought that was just interesting. And I thought I should get that on camera. But I'm gonna get some more and I'm gonna show y'all like shit crazy. But it's pretty dope though when you do see them. It's pretty dope. And this usually starts around like 7 o'clock my time that they start coming out. You'll get some that as soon as I pull out my phone, they be like, "Oh, that nigga outside again recording us," and that's what I think they be saying up there. Since we already know they black, so that's what they be saying. Oh, the nigga got his camera out again. God damn it! Like, so they turn off the lights, and you can see the bodies. I like when they turn off the lights. I have very sharp eyes. You can see you can still see the shape of it moving up there. They're very big. They're very big. I got some more weird shit that's happening. Hold on, I'm gonna show y'all. Where it's at. Yep, I got some more shit for y'all. I ain't gonna leave y'all hanging like that. I got you. Wow. All right. So this is from what is this dude channel? Mr. MBB333. Check this out though. This is shit that's been happening out here in our area. What's up?
class solar flares in the last 48 hours. Look for that activity to increase as the Earth facing side of the sun, as you can see here, is starting to get more and more active. This is a huge active region that's turning towards the Earth. This region down here is turning away from the Earth, but a bigger one is coming in. Okay, I want to take you
Solar
guys now up
flares.
to Denmark. This video footage was sent in by the Piz girl from Denmark, who noticed a rectangle, very obvious rectangle, hanging in the daytime sky underneath a bank of what looked like natural clouds. But she couldn't help but notice the 90-degree angles here and here on opposite ends of what looks like a rectangle in the daytime sky. And that's what compelled her to take this video, not the normal looking clouds. That's why she spanned over here to the left and then over here to the right. The rest of the clouds look normal except for what looks like a rectangle in the daytime sky. And we've been seeing these here recently, especially in the last month. Here's a enhanced version of the same video. Basically, light is dark and dark is light. You can clearly see what looks like a rectangle. Just looks out of place, doesn't fit in with the rest of the clouds. I'll take you guys now down to Louisiana. Video footage sent in by Karma J out of Shreveport, Louisiana, who noticed what looks like a perfect triangle off in the distance here. We're going to zoom in and take a closer look at this anomaly in the sky. The rest of the clouds look like normal clouds. You can see the sun tucked in behind the clouds up there. And then right here, you can see once again those very defined sharp corners that normal clouds don't typically have sharp corners like that. I mean, pretty obvious. That's a rectangle sitting there in the sky, occupying space, and the clouds are kind of revealing its presence in the daytime sky, visible from Shreveport, Louisiana. That is nearly a perfect triangle. Once again, video footage sent in by Karma J out of Shreveport, Louisiana, who was very taken back by this structure in the sky and spent quite a bit of time videotaping this object. I'm just sharing a small version of the video footage that she shared with me that I'm sharing with you guys. I want to take you guys now to North Carolina, where another viewer noticed yet another triangle. However, this one was noticed in the nighttime sky by Jonathan out of North Carolina on the night of September the 9th. And he too noticed what looked like a triangle in the clouds above North Carolina. The first one we just saw was above Shreveport, Louisiana. This one above North Carolina in the nighttime sky. That's how obvious this was, that he noticed this in the dark. The clouds were glowing just a little bit, kind of revealing some of the features in the clouds. And you can clearly see what looks like right there, a void in the clouds. And that void is shaped exactly like a triangle with sharp corners. I mean, what are the odds? Clouds do not normally function like that. It doesn't look natural. It looks like it's of intelligent design. Doesn't look like a natural cloud. He filmed this for quite some time. He was very taken back by what he saw in the nighttime sky. There's an enhanced version over here on the left. I just simply adjusted the contrast, the lighting. There really wasn't much color to work with because it was a nighttime sky, but I did try to adjust the contrast and add some lighting to it to try to pull forward some of the obvious features that he noticed in the nighttime sky without any type of enhancement. Here I enhance it even more, and you can clearly see what looks like a perfect or nearly a perfect triangle in the nighttime sky above North Carolina. Been seeing triangles here recently, been seeing rectangles here recently, and quite a few of them, not only in the northern hemisphere, but in the southern hemisphere as well. Okay, I want to take you guys now back.
Yeah. That's just wild, yo. That's just wild. Pittsburgh Princess. Glad to finally catch you live. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. But yeah, man, this shit's wild. Like, it's y'all gotta look, man. When y'all get a chance, when y'all out there grounding and stuff, just look in the sky. I seen stuff. Look, this is my second story. All right. So the other day we went in the backyard. They were doing chemtrails. The chemtrails went in the shape of, it went in an X. It formed an X in the middle of the sky. So we was out there chilling, getting some sun, grounding and stuff. All of a sudden, you see within the chemtrail, it was like a ball or something, like a ball, like a white ball, and it was just sitting there in the chemtrail. Looking at the chemtrail, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, hey, cuz, am I tripping? Something in the chemtrail right there. You know, you got to check. So he was like, nah, cuz you ain't tripping. We got to verify, you know? So shit started moving. Okay, so it started moving. I was like, all right, maybe it's a shiny balloon or something. Maybe it'd be a, shiny balloon. So it's moving, but it's big. and then it started to move to the right, and then it started to go up, just go straight
Ooh,
up.
fam.
So it went up so far that it was up higher than the planes, and I can still see it just as good as I seen it before. Now 15 minutes go by, we look down, look at the chemtrail. The chemtrail is going the opposite way of the so-called balloon. So I'm just like, damn, is it making sense to y'all? The wind is taking the motherfucking chemtrail this way. The balloon object, whatever I'm trying to think that it is, went this way and went up, and it's still continuing to go up. So it went completely against the way that the wind was blowing. So now I'm like, oh shit, that's something. You know what I'm saying? That's something. And it was just there. It was just hovering for like another 20 minutes, and then it just all of a sudden, like when we all looked away, it just disappeared because we were staring at it the whole time. It was like one of those moments where you just locked in. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm gonna let y'all, like, y'all gotta understand that our government has certain capabilities too. All that cloaking of equipment, planes, stuff like that. That's old technology. That's real old technology. We way past that. So we can cloak planes. We can cloak people. Been done already. So yeah, think with these planes, that's nothing. Capabilities, like, you know, the shit that we see and we have. Do you ever think that they would let us ever be on the same level as them as far as technology? Not at all. Absolutely not, nigga. So these iPhones that everybody got, or your newest Android, that's old. This is primitive to them. The other technology is so superior. Real talk. You don't see your number. Yeah, so I mean, that's the shit that's out there. We just gotta pay attention, y'all, like to what's really going on. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed.
Okay. Now we done looked into the Annunaki and the Russians battling the fallen Annunaki in Syria. Let's go back to real quick, take a look at the lie that Israel bombed weapon storages in Syria. No, they didn't. That's a lie. That's a lie. Israel now probably dropped a tactical nuclear weapon on the fallen and the rogue Annunaki in Syria. They got themselves.
تعال شبابيك الله يلعنك يا اسرائيل لا اله الا الله لا اله الا الله
No government's gonna say nothing because they know exactly what Israel is bombing, and then they can just say, "Oh, it's just weapons that was stored there." It's no bullshit.
لا اله الا الله
This was the device that was set off in Tartus, Syria. As you know, Israel has been stealing more and more territory in Syria, even to the point of now saying they're going to put settlers in stolen territory. The international community had not even recognized the Golan Heights.
Well, no, I don't want to hear that. I just want to remind y'all that Israel set off that weapon in that area, and that's the important part. Yeah, I don't want to fog y'all down in the propaganda that this is all about seizing land and Israel just hell no. We talking about the spiritual warfare and the biblical warfare that's going on. That's what we discuss.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show. I want to clarify a few things for y'all guys that you need to know. You need to hear what I'm going to try to explain to you. A couple of things, okay? It's very important. It has to do with a lot of the things that are going on in the skies that people are seeing and recording and so on. We've all been seeing it, right? And it has to do with several things. It has to do, well, let me just get into it and explain it, okay, guys? Now, I put out a video a little while back that actually came from another guy's channel called Scanner Guy, and he purchased a really good camera for being able to see at night. And what he did was put it out and record, and he left it out there for a couple of hours. And he was able to catch some very good footage. Some of the footage was of showing a Starlink train, as it's been dubbed, okay, moving across the sky, right? Now, many of us have seen those, but in this footage, you can also see other little things flying around in different directions. What are all those? Okay, they're Starlink, okay, but that's not the big revelation, not at all. Okay, let's move forward in the footage over here, maybe. Okay, and this footage has been sped up substantially. Let's see, how many times did he say he sped it up? 64 times the speed. Okay, so he wasn't seeing this in real time. This is 64 times the speed, and you see all these things flying up, and they're lighting up in the sky. Let me explain to you what's going on here. Okay,
all those craft.
This is right after, about an hour after sunset. Okay, you might call it a twilight or whatever the term is for that period of time after sunset. I was seeing these here at my home, which is what led me to hunt down this video, and this is what I do, okay, for y'all guys. Now, what you're seeing, because the sun has just set, as they call it, and it's now dark where this camera's at, but up in the sky, the sun rays are still hitting the Starlink satellites. Okay, so in the evening time, when you're seeing this kind of a thing, but way slowed down, obviously, they're coming through at a periodic rate. Okay, and you're seeing all these things, and I'm going to explain more because this isn't all of what's going on. Bear with me here. But when you're seeing these things moving through the sky like this, and they're coming across, and they'll get basically about right above you, and they'll disappear. What it is, what you're seeing a Starlink satellite. Now, this is the ones that will look like they're coming up from the horizon, like you're seeing in this video. See how all these are like coming up from the horizon? Okay. And they're coming from other directions too. But what it is the angle of refraction of the sun's light reflecting off of the Starlink antenna arrays. And I'm going to show you all these things here in just a minute. The angle of refraction is perfect for you being down on the ground and you're in the dark. But the satellites are high enough up that they're still in the light. And as they're approaching your location, what's happening is you're seeing a reflection of sunlight off of the satellites. Okay, that's just one of the phenomenon that's going on. Okay, so when you see these ones that are coming in like this, like that right there, and then it'll get up here close to above your head and it'll disappear. See how all these are disappearing right up at the top of the screen? Watch that one disappear. That'll be disappearing too. Gone. Watch them. They'll disappear when they get towards the top above the screen. The reason why they're disappearing up there is because the angle of reflection or refraction is no longer a proper angle for the light that's being reflected off of the satellites to meet your eye. Okay, so they're looking like they're disappearing. Technically, they're not. The sun is still shining on them and reflecting off of them, but from your angle, you can no longer see them. And that angle, the angle that you can no longer see them at, is almost straight above your head. It's just off of straight up, or you might call it 90 degrees from the horizon, right? If you understand that. So that's why you can see them coming from the distance, and they stay lit up. They stay almost in an exact straight line. Watch how these things are they're following almost a straight line with a slight arc, slight turn one way or the other. The reason is because that's how Starlink moves. Let me show you a live map. Okay, this is a live map of Starlink and where they're at, which is everywhere. As you can see, they're everywhere. Over Russia, over China, but yet these are supposedly enemy countries, right? Over Iran, over Saudi Arabia, over everything, over Australia, okay? And what this is, well, it is a lot of things, but what you're looking at is, do you remember the movie Terminator? And it was called Skynet. Well, there's your Skynet right there. A hexagonal shaped Skynet. Okay. What they're doing is they're doing a lot of things. But what I want to show you today is another thing, is this. Is Starlink controlling the drones that people are seeing up in New Jersey and in California and in Canada and in Florida, South Carolina, in Australia, in South America, in Europe? Is Starlink controlling them? Oh no, Starlink is for Wi-Fi and for internet. It's not for controlling drones. Well, actually, Russia is using Starlink to control its drones, and Ukraine uses Starlink to control its drones. Both sides are using Starlink. Now, that's nonsense. Russia is supposed to be the enemy, or an enemy kind of to the United States, right? Yet they're using the Starlink technology to control their drones. Says it right here, Defense Blog, CNN, Economic Times, Interesting Engineering, the New York Times, the Washington Post. It's all saying the same thing. Now, if they're controlling these drones, who do you think is controlling the drones that we're seeing flying around all over the other places in the world? Wouldn't be Starlink, would it? I'd bet the house on it that they're using Starlink and AI. For instance, like, what's the name of that company that the Vance is a member of, and Peter Thiel is a member of? Palantir. Palantir is, let me pull up Palantir. Palantir is the all-seeing eye. I don't know if that's spelled exactly right. I think I got it. Palantir, and you can see in their logo, is a crystal ball. Let's see if I see one of their logos that's bigger here. Doesn't say it. Okay. But they've got different programs, one called Apollo, one called Gotham, like, Gotham from Batman, and another one called Foundry, and it's just insane. But this is, Palantir is AI software. You see AIP up here, AIP for developers. This is all AI programming is what this is. And they're using this to run the wars in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, all these places. These drones are doing all of the majority of the attacking and doing all this. It's all being run by Palantir and Starlink. They're all working together. And I don't know what to tell you, but that's just the truth. Can I prove it? I can show lots of anecdotal evidence, but of course I can't prove it, just like you can't prove anything either. You can't prove me wrong. You can speculate, so can I, but I guarantee you I'm right. Now, I called Palantir a crystal ball, right? Because it's the all-seeing AI or mind of the beast, basically, is what we're talking about. Let's see if I can find an image that I want to show you. This was, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. Here we go. Let's see, I think I can open this one up. So here's your crystal ball, right? This is from the Game of Thrones. Now, do you know, or was this Lord of the Rings, actually? Not Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. Now, guess what this is called, the crystal ball, in the Lord of the Rings? It's called Palantir. That's what this is called. They call it that in the movie. Okay? So, unfortunately, I'm not just making this stuff up. You can see here what I'm talking about. Now, some of you will remember, so here's another example. Okay? Some of you will remember well, I'll just show you. Some of you will remember this. And some of you are just going to laugh and discredit because you believe this man here is your God. No, I don't believe he's my God. What are they doing here? This was a meeting where they got together and all the powers around the world come together and they all placed their hands on this Palantir, this crystal ball. This was an anti-terrorism meeting, meaning anyone that's against what they're doing or what they want to do is a terrorist. That's what it's being labeled as, or what all of us, anybody who disagrees, is being labeled as. So this Palantir crystal ball that Trump and many others put their hands on, and I know as soon as I say that this guy isn't anything but their God, it's going to make people mad, right? But they're symbolizing their control of the world like a God. Because what does Lucifer want to be like? He wants to be like the Most High. So he will copy them. So what are they doing? How are they copying them? Well, let me show you a few things. This is what their satellites, when they're stacked in the launch rocket, this is what they look like. This is all of the arrays that we see, the light reflecting off in the skies. This is what we're looking at. Let me pull up, though, however, another image here that I want you to see. Now, I have told and explained to many of you, not all of you see or hear all my videos, but I have explained a lot of this before. Now, what you're looking at here is a photo of a Starlink ground station. And what they are is white balls, bright white and round all about. That is the image of the plasmoids, as some of you are calling them. Long time ago, when I first started trying to understand all this, I called them plasmians before I realized what they truly were. Angels, because this is another thing that's going on in the heavens right now, is people are seeing something that doesn't do this. It doesn't. Where'd my video go? They don't continue to move in a straight line and then just vanish when the refracted angle is not working for your eye any longer. What plasmoids will do is they will sit in the sky, and actually they're angels, and what they're doing is they're trying to copy God in every way they can, symbolically and functionally. They want to be able to see everything and know everything that's going on everywhere, and they don't have the manpower to do this. But with AI, artificial intelligence, it has the ability to do it. It can see everything that's going on everywhere, and therefore you have your Palantir crystal ball. That is the AI. You understand? I hope you understand it. I really do. Now, reason why they made these balls in this shape, bright white and round all about, was in order to copy, where'd it go, right here, copy the image of an angel or a star, which is bright white and round. Okay, I know some of you are not going to be able to comprehend some of this stuff, but I'm going to tell you anyways, because you need to hear it. So let me pull up, let's go back to Google. Let's pull up, well, actually, let's just pull up this. Let's pull up this map right here. With this many satellites functioning all around the world at one time, or across the world, you didn't know that Lord of the Rings was based on the author Tolkien, or whatever his name was, that wrote the book and wrote the book that started it out, right? His world was actually a flat world. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject to get into. But anyways, these satellites, these Starlink, see, they're calling it a star because stars are angels. And I know some of you are not going to get this. It took me a long time to get it, so I'm not looking down upon you. I'm trying to bring you new information. I'm simply telling you the truth, what it is, and it's going to take time for you to realize that my words were true. Some of you, and I hope y'all guys, the ones that understand, will leave a comment confirming you understand that angels are stars, and that some of the videos that we're seeing out there of people recording things that appear out of nowhere, they'll sit there a few seconds and disappear. Sometimes it's multiples of them. Sometimes it's even like a swarm of them. And they're angels. I'm not telling you whether they're good or bad, but they're angels. They're not aliens. That's all nonsense. Okay?
Fallen.
So here's your prison. Here's your grid prison. And it pretty much about, not every state, but most, there are ground stations. Like here in South Carolina, a ground station. It's got 8 antennas, just like the one I showed you just a few minutes ago. And they had different antennas pointing in all directions at all times. And what's amazing too is that what was I going to say? Oh, well, a lot of things amazing about it. Now, let me show you a few more things here, okay? This is the availability map of where they have Starlink officially rolled out, where you can purchase their systems around the world, okay? Now, in Russia, it doesn't show anything, right? In Ukraine, it says, see Starlink facts and questions. We know Ukraine is using it. I just showed you the articles saying Ukraine is using it to control their drones. I also showed you the articles saying Russia's using it to control their drones. It's going to be the same thing in every country. With us, what they're doing right now, this is, you might say it's a beta test, okay? In the United States and in other places where they're being seen all around the world, it's a beta test, because what we're dealing with here is Skynet, basically out of the Terminator. And they're slowly tightening the noose is what they're doing. And I'm wanting y'all guys to be aware of it. I'm not wanting you guys to be fearful necessarily, because that's not going to be to your advantage or anybody's advantage. Okay, this is just another website. You can just Google Starlink Live Map or Starlink Interactive Map, and you can pull them up and you can see all these different satellites. And one thing you can do for sure is you can go on like this map here, which is satellitemap.space, and you can watch and see when these satellites are close to you or passing close over you. And if you go outside about an hour after sunset, you're going to see them coming over. And it's going to prove to you what I've said about what these things are that we're seeing in these videos like this, and what many people are seeing now at nighttime. The thing is they've gotten so many drones up there now that it's impossible not to see them after sunset. Okay, about an hour after sunset. Here's the Google answer to, can Starlink satellites communicate with drones? Yes, Starlink satellites can communicate with drones, allowing them to transmit and receive commands even in remote areas like anywhere in the world with limited terrestrial network access, making them particularly useful for drone operations in challenging environments like war zones or areas with poor infrastructure. This capability has been demonstrated by the Ukraine military using Starlink to control surveillance and combat drones during the conflict with Russia. But yet, Russia is also using the Starlink to control their drones.
That's a lot.
See, Russian fitted SpaceX Starlink on Shahad 136 drones.
Lies.
Okay.
Just because the article says
So,
don't mean that's true.
Let's see if I've got you most everything kind of covered.
Wow.
Basically, what they've got, guys, what you see like in this image is
crazy.
These are basically cell towers in the heavens, is basically what they are. So now when you see a Starlink train like this, and then you also go outside an hour after sunset and you're seeing these things cruising up from the horizon, coming across, and they'll disappear close to being, when you're looking straight up, not quite straight up, they'll disappear slightly before that. They'll be so many minutes apart, okay? Probably somewhere between 1 to 3 minutes apart, and they'll be flying over your head again, just like you can see here in this live map, okay? Let's see what else I got here. I know I have a couple more interesting things I want to show you. Another thing that they've done recently with the Starlink satellites is they have started putting here in the outlined red box, they've installed lasers. That's what these are said to be, lasers. What they are, they may be lasers, but I bet you what they also are is they have the ability to project holographic images. Okay? See, they have them on all corners of the satellites. You see, these satellites are layered here. When they launch, they all separate. See here, they're all stacked like that. You can see, if you look in real close, you can see what they're calling the lasers, the little black circles. Those are the Project Bluebeam type of holographic laser devices. Do you think they would just have cheap lasers on here? Or do you think that they would likely have the best holographic lasers available? Have you ever seen a laser create a hologram? Ever been to a disco club? Those are the cheap ones. Imagine what they can do when the budget is unlimited, because this budget is unlimited. And they're also launching these other cubicle shaped satellites as well. And God only knows what these guys are doing. And if you think about SpaceX and some of the names and things that it uses, like SpaceX, they call them their image or on some of their stuff, like for the rocket and their space capsule is called the Dragon, right? Isn't that strange? Sounds kind of biblical, don't it? The Dragon. And then, how many heads did the Dragon have? He had 7 heads. Well, how many seats are in the Starship, the SpaceX Starship that they're creating, the Starship, the Angel ship? How many heads did the Dragon have? He had 7. How many seats are in the Starship? 7, right? Elon even wore a couple of years ago a dragon costume to Halloween, right? These guys know exactly what they're doing. They're literally fulfilling biblical prophecy, and at the same time imprisoning the world doing it. It's been done before, but it's being done again now. And I wanted to make sure y'all guys are aware of that. Let's see, make sure I covered everything here before y'all guys go anywhere. I am not kidding about this stuff. It's real. I hope you can see it. I hope this helps you and makes you aware of really what's going down here. And last thing, guys, I am in just a continuous financial crunch because YouTube crushes my videos down, and I need any help that y'all guys can continue to provide for my channel. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show, and right on time we have another new mystery, and it's the fog. I didn't realize this until a little earlier today, but this morning when I was sitting on the front porch, there was fog, which, you have fog sometimes. It's not very unusual. But then I ran across some things. Ran across a video that was put out 21 hours ago. People talking about how the fog is everywhere, and the airports are being delayed and shut down and various things because of strange thick fog. So let's just take a look at this fog that he's shining his flashlight on for a second.
Certain things and write certain messages on.
I mean, I'm not so sure that looks like fog. Yeah, it could be. But the problem is that it's just, well, let's go here. And I want y'all guys to comment down below if you noticed it was foggy this morning in your area, and maybe just normal fog. We don't want to get carried away here, okay? But it's not, it's all across the United States. It's all across in Europe. Here, like some of the news reports, of course, coming out, talking about the fog being in Florida, of course, and in Palm Beach, of course, was in Florida, then in Lake Pontchartrain, which is in Louisiana, and apparently New York City as well. And, well, just a lot of areas. This is all within the last 24 hours. And as you can see, there's many, many, many pages of the fog. People talking about the fog. Here's Piedmont region under dense fog advisory Tuesday morning. Well, today is Tuesday, and we did see heavy fog this morning. And here's looks like New York City all fogged out. Or maybe that's, well, it looks like New York City, but it's all over. And in Europe too, not just here in the United States, it's in Europe as well. And so what's changed? Leave your comments down below. But also, I noticed this may be totally coincidence, but I noticed in the last couple of days, my chest, my lungs, not my heart, but my lungs feel a little bit sore. Like I've been breathing something that I haven't normally been used to or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's related. If you have experienced or are experiencing something related to this fog, maybe your lungs feel like you're a little sore like mine do. Let me know. Put it in the comments below. And if you have something really, really, that's important, you can always text me. And there's the phone number at the bottom of the screen where you can text me. You can text me pictures, like in the morning when you get up, take a picture of the fog where you're at and text it to me, but make sure to include your location, okay, as to where you're at. Lots of wild stuff going on. I'd say probably around January 20th or the 21st, it's going to intensify substantially. Just my guess. All right.
What's up, everybody? Just a little quickie here. Last freak out of 2024, because I guess we've got fake fog everywhere before the big grid down. So as of now, I've heard about this dry fog everywhere from the west coast of the U.S. to the east. Saw a couple videos out of England, which is in that kind of notorious for fog. But everybody is saying that this is dry. It's not actually wet. It's not water vapor. Here we are down south, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, I guess trucker cruising through. And it has been foggy here for the last week, but it was definitely wet. Everything's been a soggy mess, making building things a pain in the butt. I'm not there, so I'm taking everybody's word for it that it's dry. Now, I have heard about this from numerous different places now, which is why I got to looking into it. Most is like this, people just saying that they're not having to use their windshield wipers when driving through it. But then there's a couple of videos like this. And is anybody else getting deja vu here? I don't know if this is the exact same video, but I think it is. I think I remember that truck from 5-6 years ago. It's been a while, but there hasn't been any community note saying that this is a video from so-and-so date. But does anybody else remember seeing this? Because I could swear I've seen this before. And for some reason, laundry detergent comes to mind. Maybe they were saying it smells like laundry detergent, but I know I've seen this part before. And then another of the original videos that picked up something like this was somebody's doorbell camera. And I don't know, I found maybe 3 or 4 videos that actually showed something weird like this. And then the rest was just people saying that they're driving through it and not having to use their windshield wipers. And then, of course, people saying that it's making them sick, they're sweating after being in it. Which that one, yeah, I'm sweaty too after being in the fog quite a bit. So I don't know, but the first thing I think of with any weird thing like this is cui bono. Who benefits if this is them blanketing the entire earth with laundry detergent? I just can't think of how Shredder's going to make this profitable for the Foot Clan. So I have no idea what's going on here. It has been overcast and foggy in my area for way too long. I mean, like people were complaining about it. It was like a week straight, but it was plenty wet. The other thing that seems to have made the rounds everywhere already was the imminent grid down from the deep freeze that's coming. Yes, it is about to get very cold for a long time. It's not supposed to get above freezing in my area for over a week. And if you're at all able, you should have some type of backup heating. So if the power goes down. But aside from that, I've heard no credible evidence of why the grid would go down at this time. And if that's the dark state's big plan to fend off January 20th, then all they're going to do is piss people off. But I just want to remind everybody that the last 2 winters, we've had polar vortex collapses and these deep freezes set in. This seems to be a normal feature of our new grand solar minimum scenario. A high pressure system works its way into the Arctic zone and it forces all of that cold air down into Europe and North America. Year before last, when I was going to pick up Ruckus as a pup, I could barely keep him warm in the van. It was so cold. And I was still remodeling my bedroom and had a hard time keeping us warm during that period. It was about a week long of below freezing temperatures. It was below 0 for like 2 days straight. It got down to about -10. And then it shot up to 70 degrees because once everything stabilized and all the cold air went back up north, then it sucked all of the warm air from down south up across the US. So that was a week below freezing temperatures and the grid didn't go down. It handled it. Now, that doesn't mean it'll handle it this time, but there's also no credible evidence to say that it will go down, which has occurred. Clocked in 100,000 views. The same thing happened last December and January. You see how it shot down to 0 out of nowhere and then went back up to 50 and then up to 70. So we have had this exact same thing happen the last 2 winters. And it's good that everybody's aware of this. It's a good heads up. And we've got some nice 50, 60 degree weather all week this week if you need to do anything to get prepared for this. And you should have some kind of backup in case the power does go down. But honestly, just because somebody's pointing out that we're having yet another polar vortex collapse and that the grid can't handle it, well, why not? It handled it the last 2 years. Let's hope it handles it this time. And yeah, I know about the freak show that happened down in Texas a few years ago. Solar panels iced over and didn't work at all. And yeah, that's a bunch of idiots trying to implement their green agenda. Thankfully, the majority of the grid is not dependent on that kind of stuff. Believe it or not, your Tesla is coal powered. So I don't know. I just thought I'd do a quick video because it seems like people are freaking out all over the place. And I just wanted to add one thing that everybody needs to be freaked out about. The owls are coming.
Got some questions here in regards to this mysterious fog everyone's seeing out there. Now, maybe you're not seeing it. Maybe you're seeing normal fog. There is, without a doubt, something going on across the country. This is being reported in multiple towns, multiple cities, multiple states, coast to coast, even in the UK. The question is if you guys are seeing this, are you experiencing anything? Are you having symptoms? Are you having sore throat? Feeling really sluggish? People are talking about not being able to sleep, tossing and turning. All these different symptoms people are getting sick, flu-like symptoms after experiencing this fog. So a lot of people, a ton of people, hundreds, if not thousands of people commenting on this. And I was curious if you guys are seeing it. If so, let me know what area you guys are in and what all you guys are experiencing in terms of what's happening in your region. Now, I know because I live in a place that has fog itself up in the mountains all the time. People that deal with fog, you should know what the normal fog looks like. This fog is like thicker and it's carrying some kind of weird smell to it from what we're hearing. Now, I've heard about this coming out of more than half the states. Fortunately, I've not seen it or heard of anything in my state of Kentucky, but all the surrounding states have seen it. It's raising questions. People are getting sick. People in Florida saying that they're finding things in their water, some weird stuff in the water. If any of you guys can get samples, that would be key. We need to get some testing done on this. So if anyone out there can grab some kind of sample, some form, some shape of this, we need to get it tested. And that's really the only way we're going to get to the bottom of it, if you ask me. There are government projects on the books where they can spray stuff on us like animals, like all day long. And they've been doing so for a long time. But I think we need to get to the bottom of this and try to get some answers, man. So let me know if you guys are experiencing this. For all the small-minded people out there, like it's just fog, to assume that all these other people are dealing with regular fog is stupid. When you see this many people having issues, it's ignorant. So no doubt there's regular fog out there, but no doubt this mystery fog, he's got something going on with it. Let me know in the comments below. It's been Dabu7. Stay safe out there, y'all.
We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. This mysterious fog situation is actually becoming worse because more and more people are saying that this fog is making them sick. In my area where I'm located in the south, the fog has actually gotten more dense and thicker, which is pretty unusual because there is a lack of humidity, so the conditions are not met yet for such fog. So what is going on here?
This is Daytona Beach Shores, Florida at 1:45 p.m. today, and you can see the fog rolling in from two directions, but not in the middle part here where I'm about to show you. And then the next video that's about to come up right after this one is the balcony view, and you can't even see the ocean at all. And you can see this big ring here, very strange, and it all just happened in a matter of about 15 minutes. Keep in mind there's no rain forecasted. It's not very cold outside. This is just very unusual to see and a very random time for fog to just appear. This is Daytona Beach Shores, Florida.
So I went out in the fog because I had to. I noticed that I started to itch, and unfortunately now I developed a rash. This is what it currently looks like. And even when it's not foggy outside, it just feels strange out there. Even my dog sensed something. I have a big energetic lab and another dog, and they love being outside, yet now for whatever reason, they absolutely refuse to stay out there. They do their business and then they rush right back in the house, which is not like them. So the question happens to be, what is going on here? Now, as I had shown in that previous video with the orb, my area was one of the areas with high drone activity. And there is a theory, which I strongly believe, that these drones are spraying something. What are they spraying in the air? I don't know, but more and more people are talking about this smart dust, which is the size of a dust particle, and it kind of looks like what people are capturing on video when they shine their light on this fog. This smart dust does have multiple purposes, including environmental monitoring, but not only that, there are smart dust devices which communicate wirelessly with each other and a central hub to transmit collected data. So the smart dust can collect data, which is interesting because people can indeed breathe this smart dust in and it goes inside their bodies. This smart dust can monitor vital signs or track movements of patients in certain situations, so it can track you. And not only that, the military can use it to gather intelligence in a covert manner. Here is something interesting. Like I said, more and more people are saying that this fog is making them sick. So I look up the long-term effects of this smart dust, and it says, the long-term effects of smart dust are currently unknown, but potential concerns include respiratory issues due to inhaling the tiny particles, privacy violations from pervasive data collection, and potential disruption to the ecosystems if large amounts are deployed. This video was over 1 year ago, and this individual, he's talking about smart dust, nanodust, how it's all controlled by one central self-conscious AI, but the comments in this video are even more interesting.
It's also a concept called nanodust.
Nanodust, yeah.
Nanodust. Smart dust. Yeah, where where there is a central self-conscious AI, which essentially dictates all these nanobots. Is it fucking crazy?
This person replied with, what this smart dust does is act like a secondary subconscious to manipulate people's choices and actions, speaking to individuals in such a way that a person believes the voice in their head is actually their own conscious observation. This sounds like voice-to-skull technology. Another person asked, so how does the smart dust get into humans? And a person replied with, raining from the sky, aka chemtrails. This comment was 7 months ago, and today, after all these drones were seen in the skies, now we have this very unusual fog. This fog that looks like sawdust when you shine a light on it.
It's a project first dreamed up by the military to get information from the battlefield.
They call it smart dust, and the new technology may soon make it possible to keep track of anything, anywhere, including you.
Smart dust originated with DARPA back in the 90s. This powder-sized chip is something called the Mu chip from Hitachi. It's the smallest commercially available RFID system in the world. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. It doesn't require a battery. Flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out.
The nanoparticles are designed to go under the radar of the immune system, and so they are undetected in the body.
We have computing everywhere, we have connectivity everywhere, we have infrastructure that can compute those with new capabilities like AI.
If you have enough data and you have enough computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves, and then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible.
Transhumanism is a growing movement that aims to use technology to modify our bodies, sometimes in radical ways to make them stronger, faster, and better.
This individual on TikTok, Heartsong, they uploaded a video where in Texas, inside their swimming pool, there was clumps of white stuff after fog had appeared.
Okay. Calling in all reinforcements. Need your help on this one. My friend who lives in East Texas woke up today and this is what was in her pool. Now, she's lived in this property for over 11 years. Never has had anything like this happen before. No, she did not change any chemical regimen in her pool. The only thing that she said that was kind of weird was there was some really odd fog yesterday. But I've tried to look it up too. I can't find anything that would lead to anything like this happening or any reaction with water. So if anybody has any idea, any water experts out there, I know I have a few, or at least one following my page. We need your help. All right, guys. Thanks so much in advance for your help. Let me know if you have any ideas.
This other individual on TikTok also recorded something very unusual yesterday on the ground in Oklahoma, which he has never seen before, and he says he always walks this path. This also looks pretty similar to what was seen in that pool in Texas.
All right, I want y'all to check this out. It's another day, it's just foggy. It's not been going anywhere. We'll probably hang out all day, kind of like Christmas. Okay? Got up this morning, everything seemed to be normal as usual. Come to check on the animals, and I start seeing all this white stuff on the ground. First thing I think, these two beautiful little new puppy babies, I found themselves a lot of stuffing, a lot of cotton, a lot of something, right? When I get over to it, and I don't know what this is. It's growing. It's some kind of hair growing out of the dog's poop. Everywhere they have pooped, at least I think it's everywhere they pooped, and the chickens have scattered it, and this and that. But this stuff is just growing out of their poop. And I've never seen this before. And some piles are a little different than the others. I mean, check this out. What is this? And I get it. The fog and the dew and all that might have the hairs to appear white, but I really think they might be white. I don't know. Either way, I've never seen hair growing out of poop. What the hell kind of fungus is this? I thought it might have been one of the baby rabbits. One of the rabbits got killed. There's hair everywhere. I don't know. This stuff is weird. Look at this crap. It's all over the place. All that white stuff. Where you can see it. There. Right here.
There are people out there also saying they are finding things in their air filters and they're warning to change the air filters. Take a look at this video from This Is Sus on TikTok.
Everybody, I just posted a video earlier this afternoon as I was driving down to St. Cloud here in central Minnesota. And I only did so because after 2 weeks of having this constant fog, literally 24 hours a day, I thought it was very bizarre because I've never seen that. And then watching some of the TikToks, a lot of you guys are experiencing the same thing. I got home and I watched a video just a moment ago where another TikToker showed her air filter in her HVAC unit. And I thought, whoa, this is crazy. I'm going to go ahead and check mine just to see if there's any correlation to that. And stick around because I'm going to show you something that is very, very bizarre. And I'm curious what you're finding in your unit as well. Here we go. So we're going to head over where I set this up because I think this is very telling. I change my filters about once a month. So this is about 3.5 weeks ago that I changed the filter out. Pretty standard. I can even see through the fiber still. It's not abnormal. This is what I've had in here since this started about 2 weeks ago. It's a gray, very, very, very thick capture within these fibers. I don't know how to explain it. What I do know is this is what we're air exchanging, and this is what we're breathing. And then for contrast, here's a brand new filter. Brand new filter, what we would expect. I've never seen anything like this. This is a kind of a standard output when I change my filters. Look at that. You can't even see through it, and that is roughly about 3 weeks, guys. Check your filters. I'm curious what you find.
This next video comes from The Sky is Falling 222.
Okay, y'all. I look like shit, but I need to show you guys my air filter in my house. There's fog everywhere, and I've been feeling like respiratory issues for like a couple days now, like basically since the fog started. And I decided after seeing all the fog videos on TikTok, I would come and change my filter, which I do every month because I keep them on deck. I have like, ooh, Lord, I have like 8 of these and they're expensive, but I keep them on deck because I like clean air. This is a new one. Let me show you what my new one looks like. This is a new one, okay? It's a MERV 11 filter. Now, keep in mind, I just changed this filter like a month ago. Let me show you the one that I'm about to pull out. What? What in the actual? Look at this filter, y'all. I've never pulled out a filter this dark in my life. This is not normal. It's black. Look at the new one. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. This is fucking crazy. I'm sorry. This isn't normal, yo. It's not normal. This fog is not normal. This is not normal. Never in my life have I ever seen a filter like this. Never. I change these all the time. I have a ton of them. This is banana.
Okay. Not to just be a conspiracy theorist, and that's my new job, but with the fog. So it's obviously popping up in my TikTok, and then I see this woman, and she's like, I'm just changing my filter because I heard somebody said you should change your filter, and my filter was dirty or whatever. I'm telling you, I have a brand new furnace. It's like less than 3 years old. Every time I change it, I will only change it like once every 2 years. I did like a couple months ago, right at the beginning and I had to turn it on in November or whatever. Every time I change it, it's still white, which is why I only do it twice a year. Because I'm like, it's not even doing anything. I'm going to turn this camera around. Can I just do that? This thing is gray. You know that it's usually the paper white as the paper. I'm going to try to zoom in. There's these little grains of white sand and just gunk in there. I have never seen anything. I seriously have never seen anything like this. Like, it's wild. Like, I think when my furnace was old before I had to replace it 3 years ago, it was like gross and stuff. And it was just because it was an old thing. This is a new furnace. It does not get dirty. I don't know what it means. I don't know what to do about it. I'm just saying, I think you should check your filters.
So I have to say, I keep hearing people say that they are not conspiracy theorists, especially when it comes to these fog videos. And is it that much of a problem to think for yourself, to think outside the box and not accept any official narratives that are given by the mainstream news and media? That we have to announce we are not conspiracy theorists. Like I said, people in different locations have been reporting that they have been getting sick after experiencing this weird fog. This individual on TikTok, PNW Beauty Crystal, does a great breakdown, breaking down the different locations that have been experiencing this strange fog and the people who have been having these strange side effects.
Okay, so I have been going through the comment section trying to catch up on all the comments about the fog and the symptoms. And here are the states, the majority of the states that were in the comments that are saying that they have fog and symptoms that are accompanied. And then I will go through the symptoms. So the states that so far that I have seen commenting the most are Oregon, Minnesota, Texas, St. Louis, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Vermont, New Hampshire, Washington, Arizona, Idaho, Illinois, Maine, Georgia, Massachusetts, Louisiana, Wisconsin. The UK has actually been commenting, Kansas, England, Florida, Indiana, Iowa, Mississippi, Arkansas, Cali, North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, Colorado, Utah, Nebraska, and there was more than that. But this does appear to be coast-to-coast fog. Fog is normal this time of year. I had about 1 in every 100 comments on here was just mean or them calling us stupid or saying this is normal. Yeah, fog is normal. I've lived in Oregon my whole life. I am a born and raised Oregonian. I'm used to seeing fog. I am not used to seeing fog for months on end with like an hour break during the day and that's it. I've been having to double up on my vitamin D. So this is not normal fog. And if you're not experiencing the symptoms that I'm about to list off, consider yourself very lucky. If you don't know what we're talking about, consider yourself very lucky and be an adult and just keep scrolling, okay? But here are the symptoms that so far everybody's talking about. We're having a loss of appetite with a lot of people losing weight unexplained. Can't sleep at night. You feel really tired throughout the day because you're not sleeping at night, but all night you're just tossing and turning, having weird dreams. There's a really bad dry cough, but also congestion, which is weird because I've been congested, but I have a really dry cough. So it's very interesting. Extremely irritable. Some people are experiencing anemic problems. People are experiencing gut problems, stomach aches, diarrhea, nausea. I had some people commenting that they have jaw pain or headaches or both. There's just so many symptoms that are coming along. And the only thing that we all have in common from coast to coast is the fog. And then obviously a lot of us tap water, but that isn't necessarily going to be the same in every state. So the only thing I can associate all of this with is the fog. So I'm going to keep following the comment sections. I will keep updating you guys if I hear or see anything else. But so far, that's the majority of the states and majority of symptoms that I'm seeing that are very similar from state to state. And the only common ground factor is the fog.
Brittany Jean on TikTok is also saying how she has become sick after experiencing this fog.
Don't mind the mess, but I don't know about anyone else. My throat is on fire. My eyes are all red. We've had intense fog here, and everyone keeps saying the fog's making them sick. Well, I feel like I'm swallowing glass. And am I the only one that thought the fog was insane? But anyone else getting sick? Because this is intense. My throat is literally on fire. I'm so stuffed up. My eyes are so I feel like I have sand in my eyes right now. I'm on the struggle bus. I went down a rabbit hole on TikTok. And I'm not the only one that's feeling this way. But I feel like complete shit. And I get it, it's flu season, but we've had here in the Midwest, Nebraska, fog I've never seen before. And I'm in my 30s. And I know I cannot be the only one that feels this shitty right now after we've had fog that went on for like 4 or 5 days, it felt like. Like, if you look at some of my previous videos I've posted, you can see the fog. And that's almost at like 10 o'clock in the morning, afternoon. So if you go to my profile, look at some of my videos I've posted of outfits of the day and leaving the house. I feel like I've been hit by a train. It's insane how I'm not the only one that feels this way after we've had crazy fog we've never had before. But maybe I can just be crazy. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but my throat is on fire and that's what hurts the most. And my chest, like breathing. Like, I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning feeling like this. Like, and I've had to work. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if anyone else is feeling this way near in the Midwest, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, Kansas area, but this fog was crazy.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
We have some strange things happening, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. And I say things because there's actually multiple things, multiple themes of strangeness happening of recent. We're going to get into something going on with a lot of planes. You're not going to believe we have not only numerous crashes of recent, but we also have a lot of other strange things. People on planes freaking out. You remember the lady said, "He's not real." You remember that lady? We have another one, and this guy actually seems to top her. All right, we'll get into that. We got fog, this very bizarre fog, very thick fog happening in places that it never happens, and things being seen in the fog. We'll get into that. We have so many things actually I wanted to get into in this video, and also a little bit more about not necessarily New Jersey, but there's some other strangeness happening in that area. You're not going to believe. We'll get into that as well. So
Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video, so y'all already know what's going on. All right, y'all. Now, a lot of y'all requested that I do a part 2 to the stage moon landing video, so y'all already know we're going to come back with that video, man, and get it done and talk a little bit more about it, since this is a very interesting subject that I've only done that one video on this topic. So I do want to show a piece of the back half of the interview that Candace Owens did with the film director she was interviewing about the staged moon landing, right? It gets very interesting toward the end of it as well. I also went to his website and found a interview of a guy who was basically giving like a deathbed confession, right? Even on his channel, the video almost got 1 million views. And he's basically giving the confession in the words of his father, who, you know, basically exposed that the moon landings were faked. Very interesting video, very interesting to listen to. So I figured we'd go ahead and tackle some of that in this second part. Also got another article as usual to read from throughout this video. So I think it'll be a good part 2 to the stage moon landings. I'm going to go ahead and keep this intro short, you know, because we already know what we're about to do. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first clip of this video, which is a continued interview between Candace Owens and the film director. So with that being said, y'all, Check this out.
Surprised because I've been telling them to read this book called Chaos. The 60s was quite a period. They were just murdering people in plain daylight, whether it was JFK being shot because he didn't want to go along with a war overseas, and then placing in LBJ, who was just an absolutely evil man who, in my opinion, played a role in the assassination of JFK, knew about it without question because he knew that he was going to become the president. And so what you're speaking about, my audience is aware of the MK Ultra program. They're aware of what the CIA is capable of training people to kill and trying to brainwash people to kill. So this doesn't come as a surprise to us. The CIA murdering is something that my audience very much understands. There was another piece of this. There was a guy, and I'm not sure if he was due to give congressional testimony, who got into a bizarre car accident. His entire family got killed. And I'm just sort of blanking on who that was and how it related to the moon landings.
Ronald Barron was inspector at Rocketdyne, I believe. And because he did such a good job pointing out this equipment is a piece of junk, they fired him. Congress said that's the guy we want to report on Apollo. When the murders happened, they wanted him all the more, and they basically killed him on the way to report for the second time for Congress that the moon mission is 10 years or more away from going to the moon. I mean, they can't go to the moon today. They can only go 1,000th the distance. So yes, they faked it. And here's what people need to have an epiphany.
And he was killed in a car accident, right? Him and his wife,
well,
is that correct?
It appears that he was killed in a car accident. What they probably did is killed him elsewhere. They put his car on a train track to destroy the forensic evidence because they didn't have DNA capability at the time.
Now y'all already know how we do on this channel. When I hear something that important, I gotta go do a little bit of digging so we can get, some of the background of who Thomas Barron actually was. This is the guy that they are talking about, who was let go after supposedly testifying and writing up a 500-page document about safety hazards, so on and so on, in NASA as far as them working on the spacecrafts, right? So this is like one of those articles or blogs that I found where people try to like debunk this kind of stuff, right? I always find it interesting because, there's always going to be people out there who thinks none of this stuff is possible and think that this guy just happened to ride past a train track right at the time that a train was coming across it and get his whole family killed. They think that it just naturally happened. He just happened to ride there. He sat there. He tried to beat it. He was not a smart man and he got his whole family killed, right? Check some of this out because some of this has some good details about who he was and what he was working on. It says Thomas Ronald Barron was a safety and quality inspector who worked at the Kennedy Space Center from September 1965 to November 1966. He reported to his superiors many acts of worker negligence, poor workmanship, and disregard for safety rules. His reports, however, were not based on direct observation, but on secondhand notes from other people, and this caused them to be taken lightly, which is true. I found that on the NASA.gov website as well. He submitted some of his remarks to NASA at the end of 1966 in a 55-page report. Some of his warnings were heeded, while others were considered groundless. Barron felt disregarded and sidelined, and so leaked his criticism directly to the press. This decision led North American Aviation, the manufacturer of the Apollo command modules, to fire him in January 1967. Barron began to draft on his own a more detailed 500-page report after the Apollo 1 fire, which took the lives of Grissom, White, and Chaffee on January 27, 1967. Remember, we covered that in the first video. That was the fire where the CIA sacrificed these 3 astronauts. And this guy detailed a 500-page report after this happened, going deeper into the things that were wrong with the command modules and the spacecraft, right? So it says 1 week after testifying, Barron and his family were killed when their car was struck by a train at a level crossing. His full-length report was never made public and has since vanished. That right there is enough to let us know what is going on. Remember, they said he was actually on his way to testifying again. This is still all before they actually staged the moon landing. So I found it very, very freakish and, suspicious that he died being hit by a train. It would make a lot more sense that he was more than likely killed somewhere else. And at that time, the people that, he was trying to expose, CIA and so on, because obviously the CIA was doing a lot of taking people out of here back in the 60s. And we know they have the power to kill him in the manner that they did, which is probably somewhere else. And then they staged his car there, just like the guy said, to get rid of any forensic evidence, because it just wouldn't make sense. I know maybe it's happened before in real life, but it is very rare. Someone who is like exposing NASA and all of this good stuff, like a week after he testifies and he has to testify again, he just suddenly gets hit by a train on a train track and his whole family dies. Man, brutal, right? Now, here is also something interesting that took me a second to find until I came upon whoever wrote this article trying to debunk this stuff, because I remember them talking about, a bunch of astronauts and their families and stuff being killed around this time, right? So there was a Fox TV program called Did We Land on the Moon? This aired, I think, back in 2001. I'm not sure if I'll be able to play it on YouTube. It might have a copyright attached to it since it's from Fox. It's stated in the program that between 1964 and 1967, a total of 10 astronauts lost their lives in freak accidents. These deaths accounted for an astonishing 15% of NASA's astronaut corps. The guy, Bill Casing, who I'm not sure was a previous astronaut or not, he said to keep something that's alive wrapped up and covered up, you got to eliminate all the people that can talk about it. The implication is that these freak accidents were staged to keep under wraps the secret that the Apollo missions would be faked. And they showed 10 men, 10 astronauts, which 2 didn't have anything to do with the Apollo missions, that mysteriously died. This is one of the astronauts here, Theodore Freeman. He died in 1964, 2 years before the first test flight of the Apollo spacecraft and 3 years before the first flight of Saturn V in a plane crash caused by a bird strike. This is another one, Major Edward G. Givens. He was trained by NASA in 1966 as an astronaut for the Apollo Applications Program. He died in a car accident in 1967. Here's another one here, Major Robert H. Lawrence Jr. He was a major and a test pilot. He also died December 8th, 1967 in the crash of his F-104 trainer, flown by his student, but he was not involved in the Apollo program. Here's another astronaut, Clifton Curtis Williams Jr., major of the Marines and test pilot, chosen for NASA's third group of astronauts in 1963. He died in 1967 when the T-38 supersonic trainer that he was flying developed a malfunction and crashed. Another astronaut, Elliot McKay C. Jr., a U.S. engineer and test pilot. He died on February 28, 1966, together with astronaut candidate Charles Bassett, when their T-38 jet crashed during a low visibility instrument-only landing. Another astronaut here, Michael James Adams. He was a USAF major and test pilot, selected as astronaut for the Manned Orbiting Laboratory Military Project. He died on November 15th, 1967, when his X-15 experimental hypersonic rocket plane blew up as it was flying at 5 times the speed of sound. He was not involved, supposedly, with the Apollo project. Here is another astronaut, Charles A. Bassett II. He was a USAF captain and test pilot, member of NASA's third group of astronauts. He died February 28, 1966, in a crash of their T-38 trainer. And then obviously we got the guys who we went over in the first part, Grissom, White, and Chaffee. They were brutally murdered instantly, set on fire, basically, by Grissom slightly moving in his seat, tripping a wire, and then whoosh, all 3 of them seized and died together, which, remember, the CIA had been present for the first time in years the day the day before they died, and mysteriously, all three of these guys are gone.
But people need to understand this. According to Bobby Kennedy Jr., who has more access to the JFK files than Oliver Stone does, his opinion, which is he's the expert, not me, so it's my opinion, his uncle, President Kennedy, was absolutely 100% killed by the CIA. I guess that's election interference, isn't it? And then Robert McNamara, defense secretary during the Vietnam War, said, look, the public was against entering the war. We said we need some sort of Pearl Harbor type of thing. Well, the day before Pearl Harbor, 90% of Americans were against World War II. The day after, they wanted to get even. So they created a fake attack by the North Vietnamese against an American ship in the Gulf of Tonkin. Congress passed a law, the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. He said on his deathbed, it never happened. We made it up. Congress passed a law. Shouldn't the CIA get a reprimand, if not be completely shut down forever? Right? So my point is, the federal government is willing to kill their own president. They're willing to start a war that needlessly killed 58,220 of their own people. So I don't think they're going to have a problem faking a video image on the moon, you see? And if you want to show people, I know I sent to Mark this still picture. You can prove. Now, first we proved with logic. You can't have 1,000 times greater space traveling technology in 1969 than you can today. There you go. It's over. They didn't go. If you need more proof than that, bring up the picture, a still picture. I'm a filmmaker. Like I said, my job is to make fake scenes look real. And if we show this picture, you'll see that in sunlight, shadows are parallel. Go outside on a sunny day, 2 trees, 2 telephone poles, 2 people standing in your front yard or parking lot at lunch. And you'll see it's impossible mathematically for the shadows to intersect. You see that on the left-hand side? It's impossible. Then here's a picture they claim is on the moon, that the astronaut shadow is going at 12 o'clock and a shadow from a rock is going at 9 o'clock. Now, that's a 90-degree difference from objects 5 feet apart. This is all the proof that you need that the moon missions were taken on Earth, because it's supposed to be 20 times brighter than a desert on Earth because there's no atmosphere. So you don't need light. That's proof that light is really close, and it's an electrical light. That means
it's interesting that you speak about this, because then you go, what is the purpose? And you also see this element of money laundering at a time when they wanted to go to war, money just disappearing because people were believing that we were having these amazing feats accomplished in outer space. And it's interesting to see and I did this looking into the companies, who received that deal with the government. Hey, we'll give you all the money. You create the spacesuits. Hey, we'll give you all the money. You create the spaceship. And they were producing pieces of crap. I mean, one company literally made like nylon spandex and then they're like, yeah, no, you'll be good enough. No basis in science or anything. Like, you can make our spacesuits, and you can see the images of women sewing the spacesuits. And then you learn about how many degrees it was on the surface of the moon. And you're telling me this material was able to endure this many degrees during the daytime and Fahrenheit, and then dropping below, like, what was it, like a negative 200 degrees at nighttime. And somehow this fabric worked and the film was not corrupted during that heat, film being in the camera. And so the more that you look into the moon landing and seriously look at the pieces that have been written by people who are just telling you this just never happened. I mean, I'm a photographer. Show me the camera that can survive these temperatures, and make it all the way back into the atmosphere. And then you run it and the pictures are perfect. It is a bit cartoonish. It's almost cartoonish. I mean, one guy likens it. He says it's like the Easter Bunny for adults. People that are holding on to this myth of the moon
pretty
landing.
much what it is. I've been using the Santa Claus analogy, and I don't mean to be insulting, but the moon landing really is Santa Claus for adults.
Now, I have to say that this guy really knows his stuff. Bart Sibrel is his name. Y'all welcome to go to his website, bartsibrel.com. I think in the original video with Candace Owens, she has it linked as well if you're not able to get the URL to load up properly. But he makes a lot of points that are almost like irrefutable. If you have the eyes to see it, you will see it, that this entire thing was staged. Now, next up, I do have one more clip that I want to show about the deathbed confession that he was speaking on earlier in the video. It might have been in part 1. I can't remember, but it's just more proof that everything was staged. Everything was done right here on Earth. Now, I'm pretty sure this video will, you know, spark another one as far as us probably covering the Kennedy assassination. I know that is probably the most, you know, widespread conspiracy content, or so many people have done videos and talked about, you know, what really happened, the second shooter, him being shot in the car, you know, just so many different theories, you know, and possibly the CIA actually, you know, killing or the government, US government killing their own president for an abundance of reasons. But, you know, y'all let me know if y'all want to go down that rabbit hole. You know, we could definitely get a video going on that topic. I've never actually directly covered the Kennedy assassination. I'm pretty sure we could come up with a pretty good video to dive down that rabbit hole, right? So, yeah, y'all, I think I will go ahead and show this clip. I may or may not come back and talk in this video again, but we'll go ahead and wrap this video up with this last clip, this deathbed confession. Thought it was pretty interesting to add to the video. So with that being said, y'all.
Hello, my name is Gene Gilmore. My birth given name is Eugene Reuben Akers. I don't want any money for what I'm doing because hopefully this video won't come out until after my death. So I have nothing to gain, nothing to profit by telling you what I'm going to tell you. And a lot of what I'm going to tell you is available online until they see this video. And I'm sure things will start getting scrubbed. My father, in 1968, was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. I made notes on my computer so that I wouldn't forget anything, because there's a lot of little things and stuff that I'd forget. So these notes were made a long time ago. The original recording that my father made on his deathbed was destroyed in a fire. So this is my deathbed confession, because now I'm dying of cancer. I've got cancer all over the place, and they don't know where it's coming from, and I don't know if they can stop it, but it don't look good. So I'm going to go ahead and make this video for Bart Cybrell. He knows not to do anything with it until notification of my death, for which my son will respond to that. Okay, like I said, in 1968, my father was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. Anyway, this is the story that my dad told me on his deathbed. Project Slam Dunk was the name of this. President Johnson in 1968. Okay. In Cannon Air Force Base in 1968, he said by the time he got there, that there was already 2 large hangars that were connected. There was hundreds of dump trucks that came in and dumped sand and stone, and cement powder was powdered over the top of all that to make it look like a lunar landscape. They had men that fashioned it into a lunar landscape, he said. Okay, I've never known my dad to lie, so this all took me by surprise. You know, what's that all about? So anyway, he said that in front of the airplane hangars was pole framing with large canvas tents that was concealing the inside of the staging area. Inside the staging area, on flatbed trucks, was uncrated the lunar lander that was reassembled back inside the hangars. All of the walls were painted flat black, and the ceilings as well. He was sworn to secrecy by the NSA, and they would put him in prison for breaking that oath. And when Dad saw the moon landing on TV, he cried. He said he knew that what he had witnessed on TV was exactly what they recorded in that hangar. There was no reason for them to go flying around and everything. They had detailed high definition photos of the landing area. There was no reason for them to go flying around to a different landing area that almost exhausted their fuel, except for drama, because everything had gone so smoothly. Nothing, so it had to be something. Anyway, Dad was one of 3 guards that guarded the inside of the front entrance. There was a list of 15 people who could enter. No one else was allowed by order of President Johnson. And here is that list. And I gave it to Bart Seibel as well. And he checked out a lot of these names, and he says he can verify a lot of these people and what they do. And I come across a couple myself. Anyway, President Johnson, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, Werner von Braun, Robert Emenegger, Gene Kranz, James Webb, Joe Kerwin, Dr. Thomas Paine, Glenn Looney, Dr. Christopher Kraft, Dr. James Van Allen, General Trudeau, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Simon, and Grant Norrie. Now, the only 2 that I really have information on is Robert Emenegger. Apparently, he did a lot of video work and stuff for the Department of Defense. So the DoD did know him. Okay. And the other one was Grant Norrie, Norray, I believe, was to the best of my dad's knowledge, was a like some FBI, CIA, NSA, who knows, something like that. Okay, President Johnson only showed up for the first day of filming. Filming lasted for 3 days, and the entire project was restored to original. In other words, the hangars were all taken apart, the sand was all removed, and so on and so forth. Okay. Dad said there was a lot of building going on at the base, so at the time, so sand and cement powder was never questioned. I can see how they could smuggle that all in within everything else that's going on. Since 2002, I have dug up, I already told you about that, the evidence for the moon landing that I have found. If you go to Google and go to Cannon Air Force Base website, they admit that President Johnson was there. The lunar lander was there. The astronauts were there. I also have verified some of the people on the list were there. I also verified there are a lot of building going on in the base, just as he had told me. And all of this was going on at the same time, on the same date. Dad told me all these things, father to son. He also told me not to ever tell anyone what he had said, but he said on his deathbed that he had to tell somebody before he died because it was just too important not to tell. I sure as hell wasn't going to tell anybody. Yeah, I feared for my wife and me and my son, and I'll tell you why. Ever since I contacted Bart Seibel, I think they may be listening to his phone once in a while, because I never had any problems until I contacted him and told him my story. Now, people broke into my house 2 times. I was visited by men with black suits, and I was told in no uncertain terms to drop this whole project, not to say anymore to anybody, or me and my wife and my son could disappear.
Now, one last thing to take notice of that I thought was very interesting from the guy speaking basically on his deathbed as well, since he was saying that he was about to die from cancer, and he did die in 2022, right? It made me think about, even looking at this picture, I feel like Kennedy's death definitely had something to do with, you know, the mission to stage man landing on the moon. Now, obviously, he died 6 years before the staged moon landing, but I don't think it would have gotten that far with President Kennedy in office. It may have not happened at all, because clearly, you know, he wasn't on board with much of anything that they wanted him to do behind the scenes. Lyndon was only vice president for 1,036 days. I find that number to be very significant. And then, of course, his term ends right before they, you know, supposedly sent man to the moon in July of 1969, when Richard Nixon took over office. So it was already done. It was set in stone by that time. Lyndon Johnson obviously did everything they wanted him to do. Now, one thing I also found very interesting, just to go ahead and wrap this video up. Remember, he said Lyndon Johnson only allowed 15 people into that, you know, that bunker, basically. And one of those names was Wernher von Braun. If y'all remember my Nazi videos, this is a very important figure for the Nazis, the Third Reich, and the United States aerospace program / the beginning of NASA. He was an ex-Nazi scientist, the brightest of them all. After developing the V-2 rocket for the Nazis, Wernher von Braun was recruited by America at the end of World War II, where he designed the spacecraft that took NASA to the moon in 1969. Wernher von Braun was one of the United States' most valuable rocket scientists, and he was a member of the Nazi Party. As the Germans surrendered at the close of World War II, both the United States and the Soviet Union discovered just how advanced the Third Reich's military arsenal had been, and both sides wanted a piece of it for themselves. Consequently, the United States began recruiting some of Nazi Germany's brightest minds, with von Braun at the top of their list. Check it out. Wernher von Braun actually became the head of NASA itself. So this right here gives you a really big insight to what was actually going on at NASA. The fact that a former Nazi of the Third Reich headed NASA, the demonic founded Jack Parsons wild ritual NASA was headed by a former Nazi, y'all. You cannot believe a single word or action that has came from NASA, and that includes landing on the moon.
Hello, Apollo 11. Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over. Okay, Roger.
And astute internet. As footage continues releasing, and astute internet sleuths continue analyzing anomalies and inconsistencies, it's becoming increasingly clear that the so-called Final Experiment's 24-hour Antarctic sun was just another faked event recorded on a film set. Unbeknownst to most, for the past few years, portable, panoramic, 360-degree LED studio setups now exist and are being used for Hollywood productions like The Mandalorian and many others. Amazon Volume, or Amazon Studio 15, for example, are state-of-the-art studios which take the standard of green or blue screen technology and completely blow it out of the water. With new 360-degree panoramic LED screen studios, the entire background and ceiling or sky are digitally created in Unreal Engine, then projected live in up to 16K resolution, so the actors on set can see, react, and interact with everything in real time. Amazon's sets comprise 3,000 seamlessly connected LED panels 80 feet in diameter and nearly 3 stories tall, enclosing 130,700 cubic feet of interactive space. Keeping all this in mind, let's review some footage from the final experiment. To begin with, watch the supposed sun circling around during their 24-hour time-lapse video, and pay close attention to its shape. Notice how the sun changes from circular to being smushed down horizontally, back to perfectly circular, then smushed across vertically, and then back again. This is not how the sun usually looks or behaves in person, or in genuine footage of the phenomenon from the Arctic. Now, pay attention to the changes in length and direction of McToon's shadow as he paces around the base camp. In the space of walking only a matter of feet, his shadow somehow completely changes direction and triples in length. Watch as his shadow stretches, contracts, and sharply changes angles within the space of just a few paces. This is not at all normal behavior of shadows being cast by sunlight, or of a man walking only a few steps. The following is a simple demonstration of how light and shadows work depending on the distance of the light source. In the first example, the light source is held close to the action figure as he moves along the table, and we see quite pronounced changes in the length and direction of his shadow. In the second example, the light source is held farther away from the action figure as he moves along the table, and we see much less change in the shadow length and direction. In reality, the sun is much farther away in scale than this demonstration allows for as well, so even the amount of change seen here is being generous. A man walking such a short distance outside should never have a shadow that changes direction 90 degrees and triples in length. Now let's watch as McToon and Austin Whitsitt respond to commenters asking them to show their breath in the Antarctic. As they blow hot air out their mouths in freezing temperatures, there should be a cloudy mist that forms in front of their faces as the water vapor in their breath condenses. Instead, however, every time they blow, not a trace of fog appears. In Whitsitt's live stream, he claimed this was because the air was allegedly too dry there. Someone then asks him to pick up some snow, which he initially refuses to do because his hands would be too cold. So he turns his camera off, walks into the shed to grab some gloves, then comes back in front of the camera and exhales 1.5 breaths, which now mysteriously do show vapor appearing in front of his face, only to abruptly stop again. He says to the camera, "There's a little breath. What's up now?" As if somehow proving the skeptics wrong, and claiming that he took a sip of water in the shed, which was supposed to account for it. Another camera, recording from a different angle, however, caught Whitsitt while exiting the shed, doing what appears to be hitting a vape pen just before turning his camera back on. For comparative purposes, here is what someone's breath looks like during winter in Maine, USA. Every time you exhale, there is a visibly noticeable cloudy fog that condenses from the difference in temperature between the hot air in your lungs and the cold air outside. So after exhaling his vape hit into the camera, rather than picking up some of the snow that was all around him, for some reason, Austin walks several feet away and picks up a bit of snow from over there, then walks it back to the camera and lets it fall to the ground. If snow is everywhere all around him, why did he have to walk way over there to get some? Anytime close-up footage of their feet was shown, their footprints always failed to make any impression in the snow. Here, he moves his left foot, and there is no impression, footprint, or displaced snow. Another thing apparent while watching the footage was the complete lack of wind or any precipitation whatsoever. Throughout the live stream footage, I don't recall a single instance of any wind or even a light breeze strong enough to affect their hair or microphones. Even on a calm, sunny day, if they were really outside and not in a studio, we should see or hear the effect of wind on their bodies or microphones, but it was mysteriously absent the entire time. Jaron, Whitsitt, and others involved also made comments several times about how the mountains in the distance seemed so close that you could touch them, but that they were actually several miles away. The mountains do seem strangely closer than they should appear, and if you pay attention to where the background and foreground meet in footage from the final experiment, particularly the 24-hour sun time-lapse, it seems we are seeing where the digital backdrop ends and the studio floor begins. There is a separation line indicative of a film set apparent in much of the footage and made clear through the use of video editing technology. By adjusting the contrast, it becomes clear where studio reality meets digital fakery. In the 24-hour time-lapse sun footage, the mountains and sky are both chroma keyed out, showing they are both part of the studio backdrop. Compare this to other footage taken at Union Glacier. When chroma key is applied, only the sky disappears, leaving the real mountains untouched. This makes the case that the final experiment is potentially a mixture of doctored studio footage to fake the 24-hour sun and other authentic footage actually taken from Union Glacier, Antarctica. The founder of this final experiment, Pastor Will Duffy, has also had a recent clip surface from a sermon of his that gives some real insight into the mind of the man behind this production.
Okay. We finally get to my conclusion on the matter of lying and deception, and that is this. After carefully looking at both sides of the debate, and after taking a very deep dive into everything I could possibly find in Scripture regarding lying and deception, I have come to the conclusion that neither lying nor deception are inherently immoral.
Letting go of long-held beliefs is a significant challenge for fans of space exploration and beloved movie franchises like Star Wars and Star Trek, especially upon discovering that the entire concept of outer space is an elaborate, modern-day facade. I anticipate that the seemingly impossible assertions soon to be presented will be a bridge too far for most to venture. Although we will decisively expose and document the extent of deceit, fraud, manipulation, and duplicity orchestrated by this organization and its collaborating space agencies, many may still find it too challenging to even consider. We will evidence that NASA stands at the forefront of perpetuating the most diabolical deception in history. This elaborate deception has far-reaching consequences and implications, entangling us in false cosmologies, promises of future technologies, erroneous models of our Earth's true structure, and the alluring prospect of further space exploration that continues to captivate many today. Given that taxpayers provide $72 million each day to this enigmatic federal agency, we might naturally begin to wonder, what has NASA really brought us? Have you ever stopped to think about that? The gravity of the situation will deepen further when we realize we are channeling our taxpayer resources into an organization perpetrating a deception of staggering proportions from its inception up to present. We inadvertently fund it while being coaxed into wholeheartedly endorsing what is portrayed as a valiant exploration into the unknown. Since its inception, NASA has effectively dominated the entire narrative surrounding cosmology and our understanding of Earth and its structure. With ever-advancing technology, the agency has continued to further refine its methods to deceptively seduce the world at large. If there are any governmental bodies today that should be thoroughly investigated, audited, and held accountable for crimes against humanity, it must certainly be NASA and its international counterpart space agencies and affiliates. The upcoming revelations of fraud and deception will be difficult for most to acknowledge and come to terms with. Yet overcoming these obstacles is essential to navigating further through this deceitful maze to reach new levels of truth and enlightenment. This self-protecting conspiracy has captivated the worldwide population from inception up to present day. Awakening from this elaborate modern-day deception will be one of the most challenging endeavors imaginable for many when faced with the following revelations. This exploration will be difficult to accept, diverging entirely from the established account of our universe that we believe we currently understand today. These images express what I soon anticipate from most who continue ahead when initially presented with these uncomfortable assertions. I offer my deepest apologies to those who staunchly support NASA and believe in its declared mission of advancing space exploration. This extends to the established modern-day narratives of cosmology and a completely false structure of our Earth, which we have come to accept through NASA and collaborating space agencies worldwide. The information that follows will sharply challenge the core beliefs you have long held since childhood. It was only in the modern era, following the advent of NASA and the commencement of space exploration through rocketry, that the heliocentric model of our solar system was universally acknowledged as a scientific truth. This acceptance effectively dominated the timeless contention of the geocentric model, which had been the prevailing view across a diverse range of ancient societies, including the Sumerians, Egyptians, Babylonians, Hebrews, Greeks, Indians, Chinese, Mayans, Celts, Polynesians, Aztecs, Inca, scholars of the Islamic Golden Age, and medieval Europeans. The geocentric model is an astronomical concept that positions the Earth at the center of the universe. According to this model, all celestial bodies, including the sun, moon, planets, and stars, revolve around and over the Earth. The geocentric view asserts that the Earth is a fixed, immobile point in the universe, and that the apparent daily movements of the sky and celestial bodies is due to the rotation of the heavens around the Earth, rather than the Earth's rotation around its axis, as posited in the heliocentric model of today. The heliocentric model, an astronomical theory developed in the 16th century by Nicholas Copernicus, positions the sun as the center of the solar system with Earth orbiting around it. This theory was further popularized by astronomers like Johannes Kepler and Galileo Galilei. It provided explanations for phenomena such as the apparent retrograde motion of planets and their varying brightness and speed in the night sky. This shift to a sun-centered model marked a significant transformation in scientific thought and laid the groundwork for modern astronomy as it is taught today. Abandoning the heliocentric model is essential to escaping the maze of misconceptions that have been deeply ingrained into our core educational framework from the beginning. Let us reflect again on the urgent push to indoctrinate the world with heliocentricity as the definitive truth, aimed at overshadowing any revelations that might leak over time from the discoveries in Antarctica. Had they been disclosed as discovered, these findings would have swiftly ended any contention between the geocentric model and the widely accepted heliocentric model of today. The motive to obscure discoveries in Antarctica contributed to the creation of NASA and the subsequent emphasis on space exploration. This push was primarily aimed at reinforcing belief in the heliocentric model and the concept of an infinite cosmos, thereby supporting the Big Bang Theory and the idea of an ever-expanding universe. This initiative has significantly diminished the geocentric view of our universe, which is regarded as outdated and archaic by most today. The greatest deception of our time has been the conjuring of infinite space, said to extend indefinitely all around us, and a model of cosmology that starkly differs from our true reality. This false depiction serves to obscure the evidence of an originating event central to our existence and fundamental in shaping an accurate understanding of our true world. NASA has officially segmented the heavens with the following definitions. Low Earth orbit purportedly ranges from 100 to 1,200 miles up. Medium Earth orbit is said to lie between 1,200 and 22,236 miles, and high Earth orbit allegedly begins at 22,236 miles. We will prove these alleged altitudes entirely exaggerated and reveal the true boundaries of our enclosed world. The establishment of NASA could be seen as the cornerstone of a false narrative, a saga in which rockets serve as mere props on a stage, appearing to explore an infinite expanse that, upon closer look, reveals itself to be an expertly designed backdrop. Discovering that our world is a tightly enclosed system, indicative of deliberate creation, would send shockwaves through our collective understanding across the world. The concept of outer space, popularized since the mid-20th century, should be seen as a carefully crafted story, a fictional construct designed to shape a false and deceptive cosmology. In this narrative, NASA and its international counterparts serve as the guardians and stewards of space exploration fantasy, meticulously cultivating a deceptive narrative and agenda. Their purported framework, widely accepted and rarely questioned, has become the dominant narrative, effectively overshadowing any alternative interpretations that offer a vastly different view of Earth and cosmology. As defined by NASA, outer space refers to the vast expanse of the universe that lies beyond Earth's atmosphere and extends past low, medium, and high Earth orbit. It is a far distant region characterized by a vacuum, very little matter, and negligible gravitational attractions. The term implies a deep space characteristic of the cosmic void, far removed from Earth. We will scrutinize the domain of outer space, which space agencies claim to have explored and continue to investigate, an expanse claimed to have no known boundaries, reinforcing the existence of infinite space extending in all directions around us. We must critically examine and reject the many layers of misinformation that have justified allocating such an immense taxpayer budget to NASA. We have been led to believe that this funding is advancing the cause of space exploration. We should thoroughly investigate whether NASA represents a practical use of taxpayer dollars, or if it amounts to an excessive and opaque expenditure with unclear returns, and quite evidently founded on fraud from its inception. We must recognize that no space agency has ever traveled beyond low Earth orbit, nor have they ever achieved farcical landings on the Moon or the planet Mars, contrary to the myriad of fake images and videos provided to mislead the world. Once thoroughly examined, these very pieces of visual media clearly reveal their deceptive clues within themselves. Media fakery that is apparent even to the less discerning eyes of children. The seemingly endless array of retractions, contradictions, and inconsistencies involving NASA will quickly become apparent. A comprehensive examination of NASA's core credibility is crucial, as it clearly reveals the agency's expertise in crafting illusions and deceptions. This is all part of an effort to promote a completely fictitious cosmology, and even more alarmingly, to obscure the true structure of the Earth. Our journey will lead to the troubling acceptance of harsh new realities and truths, provided we can endure the unsettling information that follows. We can either reject the notion of a deception so vast it defies imagination, or any glimpse of plausibility, or we can courageously recognize the disconcerting revelation of the countless illusions and fraud that have entangled us in our misled view of Earth and cosmology. I fully understand how challenging it is to step outside of one's comfort zone, as I have personally navigated the difficult journey to see beyond this grand deception, requiring many months to reconcile and accept the staggering psyop we have been enmeshed in from birth. In pursuit of truth, we will embark on an enlightening journey to uncover the deceptions that have long ensnared us. This path reveals a startlingly different yet far more accurate view of Earth and cosmology, one shaped by divine intelligence. Once you've done your due diligence in deeply researching both heliocentric and geocentric cosmologies, the idea that Earth is a globe, tilting, wobbling, and spinning, with magical bendy oceans, and upside-down people in Australia, soon becomes the most absurd and far-fetched concept. You start to wonder how you could have ever believed it in the first place. The main reasons are because everyone else around you unquestioningly believed it, and it was originally introduced to you around the same time you were being introduced to Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. Cartoons and imagination were your reality at the time, and imaginative cartoons like these Earth globes capture and captivate children's minds. As if under a stupefying spell, many adult children steeped in confirmation bias, unwilling or unable to exercise true skepticism, remain forever duped by NASA's Freemasonic charade. Words are produced by spelling, and magic is produced by spells. Words are truly magical in the original sense of the word magic, meaning to influence people by using hidden natural forces. The words we choose, how, when, where, and why we speak them, all have various effects on people and events around us, just like casting a spell. Cursing, for example, curse words are negative spells, which can be mentally or emotionally scarring for some, when cast with enough intention and intensity. Even to write, W-R-I-T-E, is a homonym of rite, R-I-T-E, meaning a sacred ritual or solemn ceremony. The word grammar actually comes from the Latin word grimoire, which means a book of spells. Therefore, to spell a sentence quite literally means to sentence someone to your spell. There are serious subconscious, emotive, and even propagandistic consequences to the words we choose to spell into existence. Adding an S before a word turns it into a long, sharp weapon that can kill. Or by adding an L inside, you can create a whole world from your word. The Bible even goes as far as saying in John 1:1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." George Orwell's 1984 also illustrates the importance of words with his concept of newspeak, whereby simplifying and removing certain words from common usage works as a type of mind control. Without the proper nomenclature to formulate complex ideas in our minds and clearly express them to others, they become literally unthinkable and incommunicable. So being impeccable with your word is of paramount importance, as stated in the first principle of the Kabbalion and the first of the 4 agreements of the ancient Toltecs. Always be impeccable with your word. That means having integrity, by saying exactly what you mean and meaning exactly what you say. We must spell into existence only that which we intend to manifest. In order to do this, it is incredibly important which words we choose. As confident, adamant knowers of our true cosmology, there are certain word choices that need to be changed to remain consistent. For example, heliocentrists constantly use the words globe, global, planet, and planetary when referring to Earth. They will often mock geocentrists by asking us things like, "Aren't there flat earthers all around the globe?" Instead of using the words globe, global, planet, or planetary, flat earthers should say the words plane, world, earth, or realm. Always intentionally replace the word global with the word worldwide. Saying across the world instead of around the world better brings to mind a plane. And the word round is too ambiguous to use altogether, as both a circle and a sphere are round. Another ambiguous word is universe. This tends to bring to mind the infinite space and planets from the heliocentric model, but technically is just another grimoire spell made of the words uni, meaning one, and verse, meaning word. The one word, or one world, in this universe is Earth. So this term is certainly redeemable, but unfortunately currently still maintains its heliocentric connotations. Galaxies, black holes, nebulas, white dwarfs, red dwarfs, blue dwarfs, and all other fantasy space dwarfs should be kept for role-playing games and left out of scientific vernacular. Space obviously exists as a result of living in 3 physical dimensions, but the concept of outer space, as promoted by NASA and the other so-called space agencies, does not. As the Red Hot Chili Peppers sang, "Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement." So instead of saying outer space, try using words like the sky or the heavens. Instead of the solar system, you can say the earth and sky, or the heavens and the earth. The word atmosphere is a tricky one, as it contains the word sphere. If the flat earth is actually covered by a dome firmament, as some believe, then referring to the solid vault of the sky as atmosphere could still be correct. Some flat earthers have suggested changing it to the atmosflat, or flatmosphere, which is fine informally, but rather silly, not very practical, and sure to be misunderstood. For contestable words like this, or space, or the South Pole, I like to make finger quotations when speaking, or to insert the words alleged, or supposed, or so-called, before saying these words, to make it clear to the listener that they should remain skeptical of the concepts being described. I also like changing the word astronaut to astronaut. Lastly, the word gravity comes from the Latin gravis and gravitas, meaning heavy, weight, and seriousness, is now being used by supposedly scientific minds to denote a mythical magnetic-like force allegedly existing in all objects, like a universal love potion, causing everything in existence to be irresistibly attracted to one another. But since even the Burj Khalifa cannot be shown to attract a single dust a fraction of an inch, there's not a shred of demonstrable evidence to believe in this gravity, and no reason to speak it into existence by using the word when others are far more suitable. Objects fall due to their own weight, heaviness, and relative density compared to the medium surrounding, so using terms like these are more appropriate. When we purge our vocabulary of these fantasy words and concepts, then adjust to using more literal, factual replacements, another advantage is that it acts like a subtle calling card for fellow flat earthers. A friend of mine recently listened for hours to a notable speaker, and throughout the speech heard a distinct lack of use of keywords and phrases such as plane, realm, across the world, and sea level, making her wonder if they may be a geocentrist. a fact later confirmed in private correspondence. So not only does a careful reassessment of our language result in speaking more factually, but also signals to other conscious individuals that we are on the same wavelength. By refusing to cast these heliocentric spells to the malleable masses and choosing our words more carefully, this allows the spinning globe and its dizzy globalist propagandists to continue exposing themselves, while we remain still and solid on fixed level ground.
Cuffing.